Hello, I'm MC Toon, and this is supposed to be an invasion, and I spelled it wrong in the thumbnail. I spelled it wrong on accident the first time I did it, and I'm not changing it. It looks like invasion. It probably would be pronounced invasion anyway, but it looks like it's like kind of invitation. It's staying that way. I made that mistake, and I'm owning it. So. All right, this is supposed to be an invasion, but the live stream that I want to do that to currently has somebody on the call already. It's a call-in show. And so what I need somebody to message me in Discord to listen in on that show. And I don't want to tell everybody what that show is because I don't want people going there yet. And I want to see when they're done, when they're not in there, when the guest isn't in there. So anyway, somebody want to message me if AT2 is still here. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, I do have. Oh, hold on. I got somebody. People, you don't have to. All right, there it is. Judy, you got this. So there it is. There's the stream. And just a minute ago, there was a guest on. And so I want to make sure that guest is gone. It's very important to me that when we do this, all of you going in there are very cordial. And I would like to see the numbers of people watching the live stream go up and the people on the show see those numbers go up. And then see that they're being polite, right? That's what I need. Anyway, the Science of Science says, if I take part in a globe invasion, is it ethical? I think so. I don't know. All right. So, all right, AT2, let's see. He's watching. So, all right. I got somebody, AT2, so thank you for that. So, all right. We need to cleanse our palate from Jin. He's like the DMOC that you can see. Like he really showed his dishonesty. He's like demanding that I show him a photograph of the curve, right? And I'm going to show the Dwayne Kellum video. And so I'm bringing him through. He's like, well, you need to make sure that it doesn't have curve in the lens. I'm like, absolutely. And I'm showing him the analysis of the lens. And while showing him the analysis of the lens, he pre-rejected the evidence. That is how dishonest he is. That is the most pathetic, dishonest, lying scumbag position you can have. That's to it is not based on wanting to know the truth, as they say. It's having pre-selected a conclusion, and anything that doesn't match gets automatically rejected. It is gross. Completely gross. Gotta light a flurf. Absolutely. Ooh, Judy says it might be happening soon. Okay. Let's see. Bedazzle on both TikTok and YouTube has a song, Gotta Light a Flurf. And I'm gonna play that now. And so yeah, UK gaming, I'm not forgetting you, but the invasion part we'll do first. So I know if you're in the UK. So Juggernaut Jared Reed says, no matter what you have said or shown, he would have rejected it. Absolutely. He brought up the dip of the horizon. When I said I personally measured the dip of the horizon, he saw the writing on the wall. He knew that I was going to show a measurement of the dip of the horizon, something he would never do. He would never measure anything. And he knew that it would contradict his required conclusion. So he rejected that too by changing the topic to this nebulous, does it show the curvature? I said, do you mean the left to right curve? No, I mean the curvature, 360 degrees. Well, how do you see that in a photograph? No way to quantify that. It is unfalsifiable, which is the opposite of science. It's on the other side of the demarcation line of science. Yeah. But Steve 6464, but does Jin know he's doing it? Probably not. Jin probably is unaware that he does this. Again, it's like the first rule of Dunning-Kruger Club is that you don't know you're in Dunning-Kruger Club. The first rule of Science Denialism Club is they don't know they're in Science Denialism Club. So that's I don't know, it's I don't know, some psychological condition. The science of science says I love measurements of non-physical things. Okay, but I'm only talking about the measurement of physical things. So the measurement of the dip of the horizon is something that is measurable. It's a physical thing. The horizon exists. You can measure it. So Sean Carroll says you could pull up the whole of Sly Sparkane's library and Jin would not have gotten it. No. Yeah, and then the measurements of the rotation of the Earth. He says that he has to personally take the things apart. But what are his measurements of stationariness? Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all is what he presented. That's what he has. That is when he goes through his evidence for the Earth not moving in his head, he actually doesn't have anything. That's a sad position. Virillion says cognitive bias isn't a good thing. That's why the scientific method is used to mitigate these biases. That and the peer review process. So the science of science, optical illusions exist. I weigh your measurements and location of rainbows. Okay. All right. Well, here it is. The stream that we're talking about is Mark Sargent. Now I have a question for Mark Sargent, and he does every Tuesday with Karen B a video, a live stream, and they have a call-in show. So I am going to call in. So what I'm asking, very serious about this, do not be rude. All right. Do not be rude in that chat. Let's see. All right. I'm not going to put up their chat on my, should I? I can't easily, so I'm not going to. All right. So here's their stream. I'm going to, let's see, get their audio. Okay.
I guess the path is
that's not up to date.
To be a direct hit.
All right.
Hit directly, but it has to pass through Tampa first.
All right. So they do have a caller on right now. So don't, and it's not, okay. It's not on Mark Sargent's channel. It's on Karen B's channel, but don't go in just yet, I guess. So I have two questions. I have two questions. All right. Yeah, Judy, let me know when this caller is gone. One question for Karen is if she will redo the experiment that she did with the lens, the Fresnel lens. And then for Mark, I have a question for him. I have a $10,000 challenge for him. I will hold that, and I'm going to propose it to him. My guess is, because it will test his belief, he will reject it. Yeah, and you watch. I will make this very irresistible. Matt Klein, The FE community is like all the last picked fat kids in the Little League got their own team, but the problem is none of them know the rules of the game. David Brock, I have lots of questions for Mark. Mark doesn't like answering questions. If you notice when he goes on shows and stuff, it's only softball people there. PhD Tony's wondering if the Science of Science is a troll account, like a joke account. I don't know. It's a little weird. all the Chris Whitehouse for back to the Little League, and they all have to play right field. Fun fact, I played right field in Little League. And I played I have a confession. I played T-ball. And when I was in T-ball, I was up at bat. This didn't happen very often. It probably happened more than my memories suggest. But I have a strange, vivid memory of T-ball where I struck out. Yeah, I struck out at T-ball. The ball is up on the tee. It's not moving. I got the bat in my hand and I just miss. Like go right underneath it. Knock the thing that the ball falls to the ground. I set it up again. I do it again. Set it up again. I just keep doing it. And my coach eventually is like, hey, you've done a good job. Go ahead. Just have a seat. Thus ended my career in Little League. No. That was it. That was all I had. All right. I think you may need to call in to get in line. They're talking about several callers on hold. Oh, crud. Oh. That would stink. All right. And they usually only go until 11 p.m. here, which is like another 22 minutes. So I wonder if we could all pop in and then say, hey, can MC Toon come in? What if we did that? What? Oh, Micro Raptor. What is T-ball and what is Little League? Little League is baseball for kids, for young kids, and T-ball is before they have pitchers. The ball is set up on top of just a little pillar, and then there's a little spot that the ball rests on, and it just sits there right over home base, and you swing at it yourself. There's no pitch. It just sits there and you hit it. I couldn't hit it when it wasn't moving. So, all right. Mass ban, that's what will happen. Yeah. So yeah, the channel is actually Karen B's. Let me hear what they're talking about here.
We'll get up in the morning. Figure out which way
Tell you
the
what,
wind's blowing. And
I'll come in. I'll ask. How
window.
about that?
We're gonna get the boat out so we can float out. So that's how it is. But no, really, guys, seriously, it's pretty quiet.
Would you mind if I called in for a minute?
Just north of Sarasota, and they're gonna get it pretty bad tomorrow. But it's
There we go.
late in the season for this, which is really weird.
I think somebody said thanks, Bob.
Quiet. I'm about 30 miles north.
Let's see. I can maybe shrink the.
And I'm outside right now.
I can get the. Let's see.
Quiet. So
There it is.
I want to run something by you. Andrew Tate.
I'm gonna change.
Right. He has a brother, Tristan. And
Change it so you can see the live chat.
They're very close. Yes.
I watched the video where Andrew and Tristan were talking.
All right, there you go.
And they were literally laying out the entire flat Earth
All right, people. So go in there, maybe just nicely.
Ice wall and everything. And the guy thought he was being trolled.
Ask if they don't mind if I come in.
I can't find that video again, but I did.
So anyway,
I put a short.
Mark, it's starting to rain. Damn, we're getting rain, man.
All right, you can hear them good.
Now? All right.
Right now, I'm standing out in the backyard.
So I did a video responding to Karen B a little bit ago on the Conspiracy Tunes channel. Hopefully you saw it.
Mark, I just found an article that says, "Does Andrew Tate believe in flat Earth? You decide." And then it's got a link to your a video on your channel.
All right. So anyway, I responded to Karen B's video and on how sunsets work on flat Earth. She called it the most comprehensive video on how sunsets work on flat Earth. But basically, it came down to two things: perspective and refraction. And of course, perspective doesn't work because when you actually apply it, the sun could never set. And refraction causes things to appear slightly higher, not lower. So, anyway. Anyway, people. All right. I noticed that they had the chat up. I don't know if it was me or not, but they had the chat up, and then I said something, and then she switched away. I don't know if they're doing that on purpose to avoid talking to me or not. Or
he came out and he
avoid
said
showing that it's in their chat.
That flat Earth has
yeah, it's a bit pixelated to read their chat. You could pop over to theirs.
Beliefs have cost him about 100 million in endorsements.
Yeah.
I'm going, you know what?
Doubt.
That is
Iron FE says, let tune in, but change his voice to Donald Duck
literally
would be great.
You know, he's like, no, I'm not going to do it, because really, what price can you put on your own health?
That'd
It's
be
like,
great.
no, I don't trust it. 100, 10 million here, 5 million here, 20 million. Not going to do it. I will not do it. Well, it's like, why would you? It's like, yeah, fine,
Rebelled 626 says MC Tune is for
granted, if he
kryptonite.
was poor,
Iron FE.
He's a multimillionaire, no question. But I love the fact that he stuck to his
I'm going to tell him I could do Donald Duck, but it's terrible.
Anyway, what else you got?
Very
Anything?
impressive. Listen, I'm gonna jump off of here so you guys can catch somebody else. Shout out to both you, Mark and Karen. Really appreciate what you guys do. Keep us
Could do
in your
Donald Duck,
thoughts
but it
tomorrow.
sounds terrible.
It might
All
be
right.
a great, interesting day. And shout out to Brian as well. Guys, have a good night.
All right, bye bye. Who's Brian? Who's this Brian he speaks of?
Let's see. The color's gone.
You don't know.
The previous
that?
color's
That is
gone.
weird.
They're gonna add some
All right, let's jump over. Let's grab some South Carolina calls. 864. You're the first one in South Kakalaki. What's happening?
I mean, I can call in. There's some sort of a
What's up?
feedback going.
Hey, Jack. It's been a while.
Long time listener, first time caller. Just kidding.
That's a lie.
Long time listener, long time since I called in.
Calling. I'm using
Now,
Skype.
Did
I'm
you
gonna
call
on
in
Skype.
because I was ranting against Logan Paul and you were going to mention that?
No,
Welcome to the
but
conference
of course
center.
those give me flashbacks.
So I'm calling
because
All right, I'm in the conference center.
Don't know,
Renewed
Logan Paul's little
Moon
mini documentary,
Observer
the very
based
last
on the
frame.
ancient biblical Hebrew
So-
calendar,
Jack.
and tomorrow is Yom Teruah.
Yeah,
a
seems
day
like they have
of
a
shouting
key
and
for getting on
laughing
air,
to me.
says
So everybody
82,
should go
so,
outside in the next 24 hours.
you must have died
shout
during Sargent.
hallelujah or blow a horn or make
I don't
some
know.
noise
He must get
and
a
let the reader
backlog
know
of
that you're
callers.
still paying
It's
attention.
interesting though,
I'm
looking
calling
at his
because I'm
videos.
as far as
Like,
Renewed
both
Moon,
Mark-
I got some family down there based on the ancient biblical Hebrew
Oh, I've got
calendar.
both
Tomorrow
audio
is
going.
Yom Teruah, a day of shouting and blasting going as
Hold
far
on.
south as
There we go.
Sarasota,
So
Northport
they're
area
feeding
now.
through the call. They're feeding
And,
the
I got
audio.
hit with a Category
So I
5
had
with
to
Hurricane Charlie in 2004.
I had to switch.
It tore the whole city
Anyway,
up. I mean, traffic lights on the ground.
The Science of Science says I'll try to call in too. What do you want to ask? No, Science of Science. I don't want other people in queue. But if you do call in and say, just to let me talk.
But yeah, it's nothing to sneeze
So,
at, but it could just be fear porn, and it could
Oh,
be
Karen B
controlled
said, please
demolition.
ban MC
So-
Toon Goons.
All right.
Why?
Well, cool. I mean, yeah, glad you're on top of it, and I'm going to stay up a little later than normal tonight and kind of track it along and see what happens.
Yeah, and shout out to that Mark guy, and shout out to that
See.
Karen girl.
So I
And
commented,
shout out to that Brian guy who doesn't exist or
Scott
whatever
Evans.
stuff.
Hey, come on,
And,
don't seriously,
shout out to
don't
Zulu
be
One
rude.
And Lowry and everybody else. And
Just
have a good night.
like Karen and I,
Appreciate
we get along okay.
All right,
I
talk to
think.
you later.
All right, see you, man. Jack, I would imagine, would be entrenched.
Karen, get your own effing show, Globies. We
be
do.
All right, let's jump down the line. We're never going to get to all these calls, unfortunately. Whoops. Thanks, guys, by the way, for waiting till the last second and just piling up the phone line.
Witsit is live.
Out to California, other side. 530.
Witsit is so
Mark and Karen,
tedious.
Central. What's happening?
Hey,
All right.
guys, it's William. Good evening,
Okay.
Karen and Mark.
Hello, William.
Hey,
Nothing.
hey, it was a cool looking moon. I saw it.
How do
and
they
it
know
was
it's William?
A really, really small sliver, and it was very pink orange.
They're poisoning the
Pretty
fish in the
cool.
lakes.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
come on.
about
Quantum
right.
Degreaser. As an avid destroyer of the globe model, I must say an outside view
right.
such as MC Tunes
Yeah,
or
that's
Mick
awesome.
Tunes, however
Yeah,
flawed
so,
though it may be, would be
I
an
don't have
interesting
a-
discussion.
I don't have a kafar though, so. which
Hey,
is,
people-
horn that they use,
people
the
in there.
Egyptians use. They're not Egyptians. they
Talk down at me instead
So,
of
hey, I
say,
wanted to
hey,
talk about
bring him in
how
here
we
so that you can
and,
trash him. How about that?
For 5 years during my stint in the Air Force, and there were a lot of
Karen,
times they
why are you
scrubbed
deleting the
my
chat? Why? What's
and there
wrong?
were certain windows they had to have, and I remember one once, man, they
Surf is
canceled
asking,
the
who is
overtime.
QNFEE?
We would complain about
QNFEE
it.
is
We
a
had to set up the cordon and
Dutch
all that,
flat earther
and,
who's
wait for it, and then
so
they get
dumb.
close
He
to
doesn't
it.
understand
That's
time
what's
zones.
I'm like,
And
what?
he
And then
actually
like a week,
uses a
one
3D
time it was 3 weeks,
modeling software.
but those
And he
do get
puts
scrubbed.
things on the globe and
And
tries
you
to
guys
get their
talked about
angles,
that
but he
about
gets the
the
time all wrong.
one that
And then he
happened
says he debunked the globe
the
because
start off
like
and,
the stars point in 4 different directions.
oh, what is this called?
But he doesn't
Elon
understand
Musk's rocket
time
that we
zones,
were talking
so-
about last week.
Poor guy.
Yeah, it's a SpaceX NASA joint.
Yeah.
There you go. NA, that's right.
Stranger Than Fiction, he went to
MC
do
Toon is a
video
clown, kick his
recently,
butt.
and it got-
Rodman, MC Toon.
I'm still gonna do a video. So he did a video. So yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that.
I don't know why Karen's so mean to me. Come on, Karen. Don't be a Karen.
And they do. And
Yeah, again, we'll see. I do not believe that
Toon
Artemis
banned
can get off the ground.
QNFEE because he can't successfully do the chat. I
can't see it.
didn't ban
Why
QNFEE.
would you?
Actually, when he comments, I
He's-
often
he's
pin his
opening
comment.
himself up to a lot of problems.
Um,
Big Pandora's box there.
yeah, because isn't that
yeah,
that's one
is
of the
there any
cool
money in
things.
doing his challenge? I mean, I get paid
Yeah.
to model satellite orbits.
Yeah,
says,
unmanned with
PhD
cameras
Tony.
around
Yes.
the moon. So
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you this.
how you're gonna fake that? That's too dicey. I mean, you saw how bad that asteroid looked. It looked horrible.
Well,
Oh, Karen said I
back in
suck. What's wrong,
2002 when I was in
Karen?
Vegas, I went to a wedding there, and I went to the Star.
I don't know.
Did you ever go to the Star Trek experience at the Hilton in Vegas?
Let's see if I can comment.
I didn't.
Well, I
I didn't.
did, and I will tell you this: for the $24 I spent back then in 2000.
All right, I commented. Let's see if
I will
see if it
tell you
shows
this,
up.
That, there's the museum and all that. You're looking at this room.
I mean, I see it.
It's basically.
I
you're
see it
in
on my
Vegas,
side, but
and
nope.
all of a
I've
sudden
been
all lights go out,
banned.
and then it
I was
starts
banned
30
by the
seconds, and those
channel.
Things come on. Don't ask me how they changed the
Wow.
IP because I didn't feel nothing.
Karen,
But all I know is that
You're
I was
such a
standing on the edge of the
Karen.
Enterprise, and I was
what's wrong with
tripping.
you?
I mean, I wasn't.
All
drunk,
right,
I wasn't
well,
on drugs. I was sober as
Too bad.
and
All
I was
right,
over-
so
and-
let me
and so
stop
the
this.
big screen came on, and they said that somebody in our tour group.
Let me
was
stop
trying to-
that.
they
I'll
were trying to
I'll
get
leave
us
I'll
to
leave this
in
call
the
going
future we do something.
in case they come in. All right, it's gonna distract me a little bit. So I have in my ear the call, so I'm on hold on Skype right now. Okay, so here's what I was doing. So I did that video, Karen B's Sunset, where she had basically two things. Perspective and refraction. Now, anybody that has successfully completed high school has the requisite math to calculate perspective. No flat earther can do that. Flat earthers cannot solve triangles. But in the comments of that video, I got people claiming that I didn't understand. They said I don't understand flat earth, and that my application of my analysis of Karen B's video was wrong because I didn't understand, they said. So, well, what would somebody do when you're told that you can't? You try to seek understanding. So that's what I've done. I posted on one online forum, Flat Earth forum, and multiple flat earth groups on Facebook. Many, probably 10, saying, look, here's my video. I was told by flat earthers in the comments that I don't understand how the model works. Please explain to me, give me the step-by-step process for how flat earth sunsets work. Do you think that people came in and hold on a second. Oh, they're switching colors.
Nathan Thompson's in Florida? That makes more sense.
I have no idea.
Chaos follows him wherever he is. Would not surprise me if the hurricane is heading straight for him. Anyway, we don't get a lot of calls from UK because the show, as you know, runs pretty late, and I think it's just about 5 a.m. in London.
Wow.
So, heck, let's pick him up, see what happens.
Line unmuted.
Up so late or so early? Are you opening a bakery out there? What's happening?
Oh, no, it's just my Skype number. I'm in Minnesota.
Wait, how'd you get a UK Skype number?
I don't know. I just wanted a number in the UK.
You don't know. It's kind of a big deal. I'd love a UK Skype number. I can't get that.
It costs the same.
You got to pick your country where your Skype is from?
Yeah. I mean, you could do it too.
All right, we'll roll with this. Is it?
Yeah.
You've never called in before, though, obviously.
No, I've never. Nope.
All right. So what's happening?
But we met briefly, very briefly before in 2019 in Dallas.
Dallas?
We just passed in the hallway at the convention.
Oh, cool. That's great. Wonderful.
Yeah, I was there.
So what took you so long to call?
Well, I don't know. I didn't know if I'd get a warm welcome here or not.
Uh-oh. Why? Why wouldn't you get a warm welcome?
Because you know me as MC Toon.
MC Toon. I know this name.
Karen knows. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Hi. All right. So I'm not trying to troll. Okay. And I came in.
Line muted.
That's the guy who was.
They muted
is that the
me.
guy who's in chat?
Yeah, they want to date. He's been begging to come on the show, and so he sent all his goons. He ruined my live chat. I'm not having it. You don't want to talk to that guy.
Oh no, I wasn't going to talk to him. But
sorry,
I'm more curious how he got a UK Skype number.
Well, trolls do stuff like that.
That's so weird. So was this guy? This was one of the people, if I'm not mistaken, that attended the Dallas conference and was trying to interview people in the lobby, maybe, or was with part of a. There were several troll groups at Dallas. They were hanging out. Whatever.
Mark,
I'm sorry,
Mark spoke with Team Skeptic there.
You know, let me just tell you, Globy, something. You guys are nothing without us. Fucking nothing. Okay? And we know that. And we know that you need to come here and you need to troll our chats. You need to try to sabotage our shows because you guys aren't shit without us. And you know that we aren't giving you any attention because we know you're nothing but a time waster. And we know you have nothing but the same old tired arguments that we have debunked over and over and over again. You are nothing. You are small fish. You are a waste of time. You are not worth it. go somewhere else. Okay?
Well,
That's all I
Karen.
got to say about that. Like, seriously. Seriously. Do you really think that we put this show on every week? We come here and we do Strange World so that we can talk to fucking globies who lie and defend lies all the time? Like, we've been doing that for years. We're done with that. So done. Just done. Okay? You guys have your own channel. You guys have your own little bullshit that you want to do. Go find some other sucker who wants to let you waste their time and just go away. You're not going to use my channel to get yourself famous, okay? I'm not going to do it. Just go somewhere else.
Karen, I have a bigger
right,
channel
into
than
that.
you and more viewers than you.
Peanut already labeled
And
him,
more
him
people in
now,
the super
so
chat.
if he ever calls in again,
Or in
we'll recognize him.
more
So
people
it's
in
permanent
the
now.
live chat than you,
Once that
Karen.
number's in there.
You aren't my
Well,
avenue to
with that-
success.
And I knew that you would come out of the woodwork again after I agreed to do that one debate with Austin on modern day debates.
It's nothing to do
And
with
you're
that.
so
That's
fucking
funny.
predictable. You show up again because you think I'm going to give you any attention. No, I would never have agreed to do that debate if it was you or FTFE or any of these other losers who try to make a career out of debunking flat Earth. Okay? No. I didn't even really want to do that debate, but I did it once just to do it. And it was a huge waste of my time, just like I thought. So, anyway, I mean, I
hear you. You know what?
got
I've
way
got
more
some-
important things to do. We have way bigger fish to fry besides talking
No, you
to
don't.
losers like you.
I think I have a way to cheer you up, Karen.
What's
Ready?
that? Yeah.
The sun will come out tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow the truth's back.
Oh my gosh.
There'll be sun tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Fuck the trolls today and tomorrow. Assholes. Fucking people. Hi, Karen. Hi, Mark.
Oh, this
Hey.
guy.
What is
I
wrong
don't
with
think
these
you're
people?
outraged tonight
Oh.
as much as Karen is. I don't know
It's so
what
funny.
remember. I don't see chat
Right.
over here on the side.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't know what
funny.
the hell was going on in
Wow.
there, but
Yes,
Karen's
Brenda.
waiting.
Mark probably would have
Karen's
talked to me
waiting.
just fine. Mark's a decent guy.
Let McToon on. Let McToon on. Because they guess they want us to have some debate. This isn't a fucking debate channel. This
I
isn't
was
a debate
not.
show.
I was not actually calling
No.
for that at all.
And trust me, Mark and I have discussed this. We don't really care to have a Globie on the show to sit here and just argue with them for 2 hours.
Because you'd get smashed.
Like not
Because you have no evidence, of course. I
there's
get it.
way too much
It's hard.
content on that over the last 7 years.
Wow.
Well, hell, you want to do that? Just
go to Nathan
Nate-
Oakley's channel
Yeah,
if you want to
Nathan
go
Oakley.
argue
Bless-
with somebody.
bless your
Like,
echo chamber.
seriously.
Bless
you wanna,
the echo
yeah,
chamber.
You want to get a booze? Go to
All right.
Nathan Oakley's channel.
Oakley doesn't allow debates
I
either.
guess-
Same thing for the last 7 fucking years. I'm just sick of it too. Fuck these assholes. Fuck McToon's fucking dick. Oh my God. Now you're getting me racy because they're fucking assholes. It's been 7 years of the same fucking argument. Fucking
7 years
stop.
wasted on
Move the
these
fuck
idiots.
on.
They have no idea. They can't show one measurement of flatness.
Sorry. No,
Oh
not
my
sorry.
gosh.
Fuck them.
Like more trolls to make video content. I really do appreciate that. The funnier, the better. Just line them up.
Just for reference.
all day long.
Mark's live
And I
videos
love, by the way, let me
get like
let me
2,000-3,000
end quickly
views.
with-
That's it. He has
we're
100,000
not
subscribers.
Wrapping up, but I want to get this point in.
He gets 2,000 or
Which
3,000
is,
views.
if anyone has a way of getting Andrew Tate to talk to one of our people, love to hear it, because I know
Oh, gosh.
he's really focused on certain topipics. But
Yeah,
I'd
you
love
can't
for
go
him
on
to
Oakley's show because you get muted instantly.
get
So
involved, even though it'd have to be long distance. 'Cause
Wow.
I'm pretty sure he's in
I
Romania
am in Karen's head,
right now.
aren't
Something
I?
like that.
Saeed
Something
Ahmed,
like that.
yes.
Right.
What's going on with you, man? We don't have a lot of time. But
Wow.
He's not a troglodyte, right? I had to look that up. I didn't know what a troglodyte is. I guess apparently I am because I didn't know what it meant.
Wow.
Shud or a Morlock.
All right.
Yeah. I guess more chud.
All right.
Definitely more chud.
I'm going to
Yeah.
end
East
that.
Coast with no chud.
I'm still in their
And
call.
that dart. All right.
I'm
Because you brought it up right away.
All right,
Dart.
I'm gonna end.
That was
I'm gonna end the
fucking
call. All right.
ridiculous.
There you go. Okay. So here's the. I was going to ask Karen if she'd redo the expert. Clearly, she has no interest in examining her video. And then I was going to ask Mark, and I'm going to do this in general to his handful of flat earthers. I'm going to challenge them, $10,000 challenge, because they say that these Southern Hemisphere flights don't exist. Well, what better way to test that claim? It is a falsifiable claim. It is within the bounds of science. What better way to test that claim than to go and attempt to fly on that plane for that exact route? So here's my challenge to them. Just to select flat earthers will be me, you and me, flat earther. So Mark Sargent, this is an invitation to you, and I will present this in a separate video as well. But Mark Sargent, my invitation to you is to test your claim that these Southern Hemisphere flights don't exist. What we do is we will choose a flight, probably QF63, which is between Sydney and Johannesburg, right? Because that, I believe, is currently flying. We will set a time, some time that works for both of us in the future. We will both get ourselves there. We will book that flight. We will take that flight, and then we will get ourselves home on our nickel, right? We all pay for that ourselves. While on the flight, we do whatever we need for our own confirmation to know where we were at the time, a logging GPS, for example, how fast we were moving at the time, whatever is necessary. And if the flight crosses the equator or stops for fuel, then flat Earth wins. If the flight goes direct nonstop and never crosses the equator, and I'll even add this, if it doesn't go over a certain velocity, maybe 1,000 miles an hour ground speed, because they say that it's jet streams that cause it sometime. So we measure the ground speed, which of course GPS gives us the ground speed. If it never, then I win. So the winner, here's the deal. This is beautiful. They can't refuse without looking scared. We both put $10,000 in escrow, held by attorneys. All this done through attorneys. Right? Both of us. I've already got my money in escrow. Whoever, Mark, feel free to crowdsource it. I don't care. Winner gets the whole enchilada, the entire burrito. Gets all $20,000. And I will give you this, flat earthers. You don't need to reciprocate this. I will offer this as extra bonus for you. I will record a video. You provide the script. My face on screen. It will be sent to the lawyers to hold. You get to write the script, whatever you want. Me saying whatever words you want me to say as an admission, should you be shown to be correct. I will delete both of my channels, should I be shown to be incorrect. I will give the credentials to my channels to the lawyers so that they can go in themselves and delete it. Right? Those two things I will do. You don't have to do. You can keep your channel. You don't have to provide a video. Right? Those things. Now, will a flat earther take this challenge? Right? I will issue this challenge to probably rough list. Mark Sargent, Eric Dubay, Darth, maybe Bob Nodell. Who else? I don't know who else. Who else is the prominent? Jaron, maybe? Maybe Jaron, right? Yeah. These people that say that these flights don't exist. Not ODT. Ugh, gross. But no, not Nathan Oakley, not Nathan Thompson. Nathan Thompson doesn't even exist anymore. Nathan Oakley can't get 1,000 people to watch his live stream ever. He is literally nobody. So anyway, So there it is. Now, all right, we've got UK Gaming. Says he wants to come in. All right. I think it's UK Gaming. I'm gonna send him an invite, set up a Zoom call with him. So there, what do you think, people? Tell me what you think in the comments. You can do it right here in the chat. I see Sun Wum is saying, "Why am I banned?" Well, you're not banned. So I can read your comment.
Recording in progress.
All right, let's see there. Okay, so let me. All right, here goes to the invite to UK Gaming, who will be joining here momentarily. I don't know if he will be on screen or not. We shall see. Let's see. Get rid of that. So I bet Jin is still talking. Yes, he probably is. All right, let me see here. So sad. I really wanted to have a friendly conversation with Karen. I don't know why she was so triggered by that. But all right, the Science of Science says if I already got that. It says optical illusions exist. I away your measurement of location and of rainbows. There is no location of a rainbow. That's a good example of something that doesn't have a specific location. NA for $6.66. Hail Santa says I tuned in for some of the last things. Sometimes flurfers hurt my brains. Yes. Imagine having to live with that guy. Oh. The Science of Science says I'll try to call in too. Yeah, okay. Luke Filewalker for €2 says directly to the mute button. That's a new one. That was absolutely new. Yes. Oh, hold on a second. All right. Okay. UK Gaming. I had to. It Zoom defaults to having a waiting room. So.
Yo, what's going on, boss man?
Hey, all right. Let me finish a couple things here, then we can talk. Yeah. Stringer News 1 for $2 says Karen earns her name. She certainly did. Seriously, I wanted to have a nice conversation, but Science of Science again says, to be fair, as a flat earther, Mark and Karen suck. Science of Science, I don't think you're a flat earther. You're not convincing me. MJB for $2. Maybe was that a sticker? Was it a super sticker? Let me scroll back here. Oh, I didn't see it. Well, sorry if I missed that, but thank you very much for that, MJB. The Science of Science again says, dude, Mark is a bad person. Flat earthers don't like him. I know they don't like him. But from everything I can tell, he's actually kind of a nice guy. So, Rainier Wenier is a new member at Newton. Thank you for that. And then Mr. QTube, first name Pha, says, I bet Jin is still talking. All right, there we go. UK Gaming, welcome.
Yo, what's going on? Yeah.
What do you prefer I call you? I have 3 names that I can choose from.
My name's Jordan. You can call
Jordan,
me
okay.
Yeah.
All right, and you're friends with Jin?
A fierce opponent of Jin, actually. I'm not actually a flat earther.
I
was just encouraging Jin to come on here because he comes on our server a lot. And yeah, I just want to see how you deal with him. So
I see. Okay. Well, yeah, he can't act like an adult. That's kind of a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, we have the rhetoric server that I spoke about in the chat. He comes on the server a lot, and I have a lot of conversations with him. I mean, it normally ends up with him being heavily moderated like you ought to do. And yeah, not really good endings. But exactly what you went through is exactly the thing we deal with a lot. Just sheer science denial, the denial of gravity, denial of anything existing without him being present at the location for him to be able to experience it, anything. But when it comes to evidence that flat earthers can provide, he accepts it like butter on toast. It's a little bit weird.
He's one of the more extreme ones where he's so far that he actually said that he needed to disassemble. I've never heard anybody say that other than Nathan Roberts. talk about disassembling things in order to believe them. Of course, he clearly could not understand the contents of a ring laser gyroscope.
Yeah, like whenever I've had conversations with him, I think myself, I haven't actually done many of the tests myself. You know, I am what you would call probably maybe a naive glober, but I am doing like a degree in physics. But one of the annoying things I think you have to deal with a lot is just a sheer denial of, you know, they always mention gas pressure without a container. They always mention, you know, how can you have gas next to a vacuum, things like that. I think a lot of my conversation with Jim has been me simply trying to explain to him that concept, that whenever he mentions thermodynamics, he's mentioning the version of thermodynamics without any constraints on the actual, you know, dynamical variables and so those equations and stuff. Whenever he mentions all of this stuff, he always do that. But that's a common recurring theme with flat earthers, and you're not the first person to have that experience with them.
Yeah. And obviously this book that I was reading from quantifies or codifies probably their position. And it's not just flat earthers, but they're kind of the peak of the pyramid, aren't they? For that position. Stringer News 1 is wondering if you're from Liverpool, trying to guess from your accent, doing a little My Fair Lady here.
No, I'm from Coventry.
Coventry. There you go. Stringer News 1, Coventry.
Wait, are you from the UK?
Me?
Yeah.
No. Do I sound like I'm?
No,
from the
I swear I heard you say earlier on your stream. Maybe I misheard it, but I thought you said you weren't from the US. I assumed the next place you may have been from.
My Skype phone number is a UK Skype number, and Mark Sargent. I think that's how I got moved to the front of the line. Mark Sargent saw it was a UK Skype number and said, "Oh, that must be 5 a.m. there," and I have a UK Skype number.
Yeah.
Because of the stuff that I've done with Mark Steele. So when I got a Skype number, I chose to get one in the UK. So
yeah.
Do you know who Mark Steele is?
No.
Okay. Mark Steele is a British guy from Newcastle that thinks that 5G is an energy weapon meant to kill 7 billion people and literally turn them into dust so that they don't have to have their bodies dealt with. That's how dumb he is about what he thinks 5G is.
Oh, that sounds pretty reasonable.
Yeah, totally. He thinks that literally thinks that the Ark of the Covenant was a 5G weapon.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I respect you. I respect your channel. I like it. I think a lot of the reason debates I've had with Jin have been me simply trying to stop his disinformation. You know, he talks about the Van Allen belts a lot and about the amount of Ren of radiation that's in the Van Allen belts, but he always quotes numbers without the protection that they have, you know, the numbers that are subject to alpha and beta radiation. I think a lot of their stuff is they prey on people that don't have a very good understanding of physics, who just accept bodies for what it is. And then they quote, he quotes 250,000 Ren. And I was like, okay, but what happens when you put a sheet of paper? What happens when you put some beta radiation? And he always pushes around the question. But if anyone wants to talk to him after, he thinks he's very victorious. He's on the rhetoric server. You can talk to him and you don't have to worry about being over moderated or whatever. He's very adamant that he won the debate. So congratulations, Mike. It looks like you lost.
It is crazy how their egos do that. They almost every time they think they won. Yeah, sorry for talking over you. He said that you didn't answer a single question that he asked you directly. He said you didn't show him the curvature of the Earth. I don't know. And he said he's not going to go back and watch the video that is now on your channel to prove to himself that you didn't show him the curvature of the Earth. So yeah, well, I mean, it was on screen, but I didn't not send it to him. It was the balloon one, wasn't it? Where you had the balloon thing. Yeah, it was actually the balloon from a flat earther. But yeah, I was going through the process of showing him, because he brought it up. He wanted to see that the camera lens wasn't adding distortion. And before we even finished that topic, he had rejected it because
Yeah,
he wasn't there himself.
He doesn't. Also, earlier on, he was talking about radiation stuff with me. He doesn't understand radiation either. He thinks that X-ray and gamma rays get deflected by to a significant amount by magnetic fields of the Earth, such that they orbit the Earth. So he thinks X-rays and gamma rays orbit the Earth in the Van Allen belts. And I tried to explain to him how that wasn't correct, and that the
for the people at home, X-rays and gamma rays are photons, just like light, just like radio waves. And they have zero charge, and they are not affected by magnetism. If they were, you would see it when you had a strong magnet right on the edge of a neodymium magnet. You would see some sort of a distortion all the time if light was actually affected by magnetism.
Yeah. And he quotes this project that was done, I forget the exact name of it, Project Starfish Prime or something, that was in the 1960s, and he thinks radiation in the form of X-rays and gamma rays is still there. And I told him, no, the radiation would have been emitted approximately spherically, and it would be 40 light years away from Earth.
He thinks it's actually like still hanging out there?
He thinks it orbits the Earth. And I told him, yeah, and
it's like he saw the Incredible Hulk in the 70s and thinks that was a documentary. That Adam Banner was actually irradiated by gamma radiation, and it has magical properties, and turned him in the Incredible Hulk.
So I appreciate you've been on the plane. I really liked your picture and stuff. Things like that I simply haven't done. I'm a student myself. Sometimes I think I only just got into debating, or I wouldn't even call it debating. A lot of them just turn into just sheer ignorance. I only got into debating flat earthers maybe about a month ago. I've had a few conversations with them. I've learned their model and asked them a very nice question to do with, are you familiar with the Krakatoa eruptions?
Hold on a second. I accidentally said Adam Banner. It's David Banner. Krakatoa. Yes. Not recent.
There was one of those, but then there was also a more recent one, because this was the question I've posed them, and I swear I've had 40. I think I literally kept a tally of it, because they all avoid the question, and they all just return questions to you. And I was like, we need some order to this. But the question is, like, when the Tonga volcano erupted recently, there's data on it from loads of different barometric stations all around the planet, and they all measure a periodic amplitude disturbance, pressure disturbance, and it decreases in amplitude with each passage, and they detect 5 of these before the amplitude drops off to a certain degree that they can't, the detector can't detect it over just normal noise anymore. And all of these, if you see it, it's perfect. It's almost perfectly periodic, to plus or minus like some small error with each turn, with approximately the normal thing you'd use to work out the time it takes for the sound to go around the Earth. And I've asked every single one of them that, if the Earth is flat, how can you explain the periodic, the periodicity of this pressure wave? I was like, from my opinion, I mean, I haven't looked into it a crap ton, but I haven't looked into it a lot. But I just don't think it can be explained. And that's one of the arguments I've come up since I've been debating them. But they all want pictures of the curvature, and then the second you show them pictures of the curvature, they say it's CGI. They all want peer review. They all want scientific rigor. But the second you give them that, they say it means nothing. But at least you're making a living out of this, perhaps.
Well, it's a hobby for me.
It's quite enjoyable, yeah.
Yes. Well, I suppose for a seismology based measurement, they would probably just go with the denial, saying that it was filtered through too many people or something. PhD Tony, who's in the chat, he deals with these things for his job. And he mentioned the Tonga eruption. Is that one you're talking about?
Yeah.
That was just a little bit ago. Yeah, so I sometimes I try to get them to pin them down on their standard of evidence. And I was doing that with Jin, trying to, answer the things he's going to bring up, right? He's going to say the lens is distorting it. So showing him the actual analysis of the lens. And then going to the video and you see that it's curved. And so then they're only left with blind denialism.
So another point is that, part of my university that I'm at, I do physics, well, theoretical physics, but I'm also part of the engineering society, and we get the opportunity, we get funded by, I don't even know what company it is, but we get funding to basically make our own rocket to send into, I don't even think we'll end up reaching low Earth orbit, but we get the opportunity to send a rocket up.
Yeah.
And I said to Jin, because Jin denies it, everything is CGI to him that is done by any reputable company.
Yeah.
So, I said to him, like, look, if I go up and if I put a camera on my on it, which we have to as part of the team, and if I make sure it's not a fisheye lens, I don't know if that will encapsulate enough of the Earth at the height that we're going to be able to even see the curvature at that height, which is why fisheye lens may be required. But he specifically requested a non-fisheye lens. But I just don't understand their logic, because they refute scientific evidence given by people in the scientific field. But Jen's had lots of talks with me. He knows I'm a physicist. He knows I want to go into research with physics. I'm one of the people he denies. I'm one of the people who, is apparently part of this big elaborate lie to the general population. So even once I get this video, I think it will be the exact same as what happened with you. I think he'll deny it before he even looks at it.
Yeah. And it helps me. I always remind myself, well, what am I trying to accomplish when I'm debating them? I'm not trying to convince them. I'm trying to shine the spotlight on their dishonesty, on their stupidity, on all of the problems that they bring up, and their lack of evidence, right? So that's what I'm trying. So that if somebody comes along and sees this video that might be on the fence, says, wow, none of the flat Earth claims stand up to scrutiny when tested, because in an Eric Dubé video, there's no challenge to it, right? When Eric Dubé in his claim proof number 2 says that the horizon rises to eye level, he doesn't provide measurements of it, but he doesn't provide the alternative explanation. And somebody that doesn't have a background in, well, basically opt out of physics in high school, right? Opt out of science when it was no longer mandatory. They're not going to have any background to even analyze to say, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. Where's the measurement?
So on the server I'm on, there is a sub server. They had to make it a sub server because they had to not be able to claim responsibility for the ignorance and name calling that happens in the chat. So, but there is a sub server, the Flat Earth section, and they happily will say every time someone mentions gravity, they'll be sarcastic. They'll be like, "Oh, stories of why objects fall down." But I've spoken, I'm not saying one single flat earther corresponds to the entirety of the flat earth, opinion. People can have opinions within science and misrepresent scientific truth. Someone can learn Newton's second law and apply it wrongly, like you had into the chat earlier, or perhaps they may not know the full story. But I had conversations with one of Jin's friends who he looks up to on one of the Flat Earth servers I got banned from because of a reason.
24/7?
I think it was Flat Earth 2.0.
Oh, yeah.
And they are rude. I went on with that question.
They're
about
hyper religious on there, I think.
Yeah, I went on with that question about that pressure wave thing, and they just turned the question on me and started calling me a globalist, even though I hadn't even established what my viewpoints was. I was just asking them about their theory. But to move on to the point is that, they'll be like, "Oh, stories of why objects fall down." I'll be like, "Hang on a second. How can you mock a theory if you haven't got a better alternative yourself? You say we're stupid. You say we're lost. We can't come up with all these reasons. Yet when asked, why do objects fall, you say it's God's creation, which is what Jin referred to earlier. He said it's God's creation that's avoiding the problem. But one of them did offer an explanation to me, and this is the funny thing you'll like. He says objects fall because the sky is negatively charged and the ground's positively charged. And I said to him, okay, so if I take an object and give it positive charge and it's light enough,
It should go up.
it will repel from the positive ground and get attracted towards the negative sky. And he goes, oh no, sorry, I'm mistaken. The ground's negatively charged and the sky's positively charged. And I said to him, okay, I'll take that exact same object and give it a negative charge. It will be repelled from the negative ground and attracted to the positive sky. And and then he started just referring to me as an idiot, name calling, doing all this crap.
Yeah.
And it's just when they mock theories and say, you know, this guy in the chat, Fusily Jerry, he likes, all he does is post memes, you know, we can't feel the acceleration due to gravity, we can't feel all these things, stories of why objects fall down, gas is equalized, but gas is equalized without constraint, is the first thing you learn in any course in statistical thermodynamics. They all quote these things, but they have no better alternative to it.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand it.
Well, so a lot of them, they move once they get introduced to flat Earth through Eric Dubay or something like that, where they think that this map. Are you watching on the live stream? I mean, I can share my screen to you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They think this map is the correct map because that's Eric Dubay's map.
Yeah.
But once you actually start examining this map falls apart. And so then once they get farther in, they say, well, we don't know. We don't have a map, they say. You know, well, then you kind of came to the horse race without a horse. Because you could have done that a couple hundred years ago when international navigation wasn't a thing. But now people fly, but in one day you can be in any other part of the world.
Yeah.
If you have the money, right? You can be anywhere. And obviously somebody's using a map to get there. So where's that map? Where was I going with that? Oh yeah. So they go through these phases, and you're only a month in or so, and you haven't seen it yet, but they will then they'll get more and more nebulous, right? They'll say, oh, it's just buoyancy and density. But then when you actually test buoyancy and density for gravity, it doesn't work. When you test electromagnetism, it doesn't work. When you test none of these things work. So then they're like, okay, we don't have to have an answer. All we need to do is falsify. They might even say that, falsify the globe. That's all they have. And in their heads, of course, you know, when they lay down at night, they have their Gleason map pillow that they had custom printed, and they hug it while they fall asleep crying, right? And they know in their heads, they don't say in their heads it's not buoyancy and density. They think it is. They just know that it fails whenever it's tested. So they move eventually to the position of, I don't have a position. I am just a globe skeptic.
Yeah, and that we're the ones that need to convince them otherwise.
Yeah, so we have in the chat right now, a man like me. I think it's Tony Trayborn on Facebook. I think that's the same guy. He says, I'm gone, a flat earth map, Lamau. Yeah, exactly. You know that no map works for flat earth. That's why you have to deny it. It's very sad.
And another thing that they do, again, I've only been in the game a very, very short period of time, but you'll go on these servers, and when I posed my question, I said using your model, and the first thing I didn't even get to ask my question. They all said, well, who told you we had a model? And I was like, the simple statement, the earth itself is flat, is a model. You know, just because you fully formulated it, you've stated an idea of what you think the earth is. If you've got a model, you should be able to make predictions from this. And I'm telling you, using your model predicts this data.
This, you know, yeah, exactly. If you say the earth is flat, that's your model. It's super crude, but we can make predictions from it. Like the sun could never set.
Exactly. I was talking to Jin about this earlier. Jin referred to we were talking to him like, the sun is a spherical emitter of light. So regardless of where it is above this disk, you would still never experience perfect darkness. I'm not saying we experience that anyway. I'm saying, from cosmic light and things like that, you never experience perfect darkness. And then he started saying, oh, no, the sun's like a flashlight that points down. And it's just like they have to come up with all these curveballs to actually get their theory to work. Wouldn't it be?
Yeah, if it was a lampshade, then it would not cross the horizon. It would just, the lampshade would obstruct it while it was up in the sky.
Yeah. Devin, another thing that I was going to talk about, I don't know, but I just came on here because I tried to encourage Jin to come on here. I was supporting him to the chat earlier just to big him up, because before he joined us, before he joined the call with you, he came on the server to let us all know that he was going to destroy the heliocentric model, and he was very proud about that.
Of course.
And I just wanted to get him on here with you because I haven't been in the game for very long, but I just wanted to see what other points you have that you could talk to him about and maybe talk some sense into him. I don't think you
That's
have.
Silly.
I think his position will not change.
No,
it was entertainment for a lot of people.
Think about this. At some point in the future, I don't know how long in the future, let's assume that Jin lives to see this future. There will be a significant number of people that have literally been in space, because space tourism is getting commercial viability. There for a long time, there was only 8 people that had been to space commercially, that had paid to go to space. They went to this ISS for many millions of dollars. But now it's the price has been lowered, and there have been both all 3, SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic have all brought people to space.
Yeah.
Right. And as they ramp up more, eventually Jin will get to the point where he knows a few people that have personally been to space. And then he'll know a few more. And then eventually there will be a point where there's a lot of people that Jin knows and trusts that have been to space. What will he do then?
I mean, I think the easiest thing for him to do then would just simply to be able to buy a ticket. It's a little bit analogous to when airplane travel first became a thing. For a while it was only military use and things like that, but eventually it became commercial use, very expensive. Only a few what you would call elites could have access to it. And then I guess there's plausible deniability. Maybe these things are in on a conspiracy, but eventually you get commercialization. Now anyone can go anywhere. Speaking of planes, actually, another thing that really annoys me when he talks to me is he uses the fact that he's been to 4 different places on the Earth, all very, very around the Earth, to prove that the Earth is flat. And I said to him, Jin, okay, out of all those 4 different things, you're forgetting the one main thing that hasn't changed in any of those observations. You haven't gone above the cruising altitude. And this is, he says this religiously, he says this is exact proof that the Earth is flat. And I was just like, you have never changed the test conditions of that. You have never gone above this cruising altitude. I said to him, what height would you have to be in order to visibly see the curvature to a significant standard? And he said this figure. And I was like, okay, so why are you quoting to me? You've been on a plane four times to 4 separate locations. You could have been on a plane to 1 location or a plane to 1,000 different locations. It still doesn't change the fact you haven't been above cruising altitude. So I don't see why you exaggerate the fact you've been to 4 different places.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I had a guy on, an actual pilot who is just a single engine pilot who can't do multi-engine, can't do his own navigation really. He basically use a ruler to draw lines on a sectional chart and use that to measure the distance. He was unaware that those charts are Lambert conformal conic projections. I have a few on the wall behind me here. He was unaware of that. He's a pilot and he's unaware that the maps the charts that he uses are Lambert conformal conic projections. But he was on and he's like, why can't I feel it move? Right? He's expecting to feel the Earth move. And another pilot came on, one that is a private pilot. was in the military and has, I think, north of 10,000 hours of flight. That's Wolfie 6020. He came on to talk to him and went through I didn't know this. There's when you're testing for your multi-engine, there's a bunch of things you need to study, including the human's ability to sense rotation.
Yeah.
There's a minimum amount that it can sense. It's actually not rotation, it's rotational acceleration. Human body cannot sense rotational, just rotation. It's acceleration that it can feel. So once you get rotating, if you're not going fast enough to sense the centrifugal force, after about 20 seconds, you can't sense the rotation anymore. Anyway, he asked him that. So Wolfie asked, the guy's name's Quincy, asked Quincy. So in the mandatory study materials to get your multi-engine certification, which you want to get, right, Quincy? Yes, he did. You need to cover this particular topic. Now, can you feel the amount of rotation of the Earth? No. He agreed that you can't. Later in that very same debate, he said, but I can't feel the rotation of the Earth.
I think I had this conversation earlier with Jin. He was saying, we were talking about planes, and he was saying, when you're on a plane, you shouldn't be able to feel the rotation. I said, okay, do the centripetal acceleration equations. You can do corrections if you really want to be precise about it. But I was like, the force you're going to experience isn't going to be life-changing. You're not going to experience much at all. And he kept on trying to say, okay, well, when the plane turns, do you experience, do you actually feel a much greater force? And I was like, well, you're comparing two different complete regimes of radius of curvature. I said to him, when you think you're driving straight in a car, the odds that you're actually driving perfectly straight are not very high at all. A lot of the time you're probably driving, plus 1 degree to the left. That invokes a radius of curvature that you're driving around. Do you feel that force? No, because you think you're driving straight. And he couldn't get around that idea. He said, if I'm turning, I know I'm turning. And I was like, yeah, but you don't understand that it's virtually impossible to drive perfectly straight. They don't do very well with what they don't understand the limitations of what the body can detect. And another thing is, when it comes to, I want to see the curvature of the Earth, but then I reject anything that's far enough out, call it CGI, that actually shows it. When you're in a plane, you're only really seeing 1 or 2 degrees of curvature. Like you were saying, a very, very small amount of curvature. And is your eye going to be good enough to detect that? I don't think so. But all these things are analogous. They put too much emphasis on the human senses in order to give them an accurate representation of what's going on. And so the obvious conclusion is that you need data. Like you were saying, you need evidence, you need measurements to give you these values. Every single conversation I've had with Jin, he always says numbers don't mean shit. That's what he says to me. And I was like, okay, well, why are you even here then? I was like, you dispute things as CGI.
Well, yeah, he says he wants to follow the scientific method, whatever nebulous idea he has for what the scientific method is. That's not the demarcation between science and pseudoscience, by the way, but he thinks it is. Certainly in science, you need to do measurements, but he doesn't think that he needs to.
I don't think he has done a single measurement himself. I think he views what he sees with his eye as a perfectly good measurement. Like he says, he always wants to, when you add him on a very low volume, I could hear him in the background squirming, but he was always just like, we need to talk about reality, what we can see and stuff like that. And reality can only take you so far. There are thousands of examples of optical illusions that can deceive the senses, but when analyzed via the scientific method, you see that it's not so. And maybe he hasn't come across these things. I don't know, but talking to him has been one of the most unbearable experiences of my life. And I'm glad you were able to experience it.
Some of them you need to take in you need a cleansing period between that. There's a guy who's in the chat and every time I live stream, he demands that I bring him in. He's 33 UC. And he's messaged me on Twitter. Says, why can't you just let me speak in this chat? What's your problem? I think it's clear. I have defeated you many times over. I wouldn't want my face I wouldn't want to face my either, to be honest. I'm tough on you globetard shills.
But yeah, when you were doing that what was it? That bingo, that was brilliant. I
almost got the full Monty.
Which
almost.
One did you miss out? Was it the dinosaur?
Did he say no? Dinosaur's not on it. Did he say NASA?
I've had conversations with him. He thinks NASA is a lie, but you know,
of course,
that's just, yeah.
But your conversation, I mean, people were saying I was cheating because I was leading him. It certainly was.
You're basically just breaking him into his own trap. If he has these views, whether or not you mention it to him, that shouldn't change it. So you're basically letting him complete it himself, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I was 3 away from the full Monty.
Well, he denies the existence of dinosaurs. He's on another Flat Earth server, and he posted yesterday something saying that dinosaurs never existed. He's a nice guy, but you know, he's quite similar to my nan. My nan, as soon as she got access to the internet at a late age, believed everything she read on the internet. You know, people like David Icke and things like that, they believe very easily. But someone pointed out to me earlier, is that it's typically more elderly people that fall into the trap of flat Earth and other things. What do you think about that? Do a lot of people you speak to, are they typically?
Oh yeah, you know, we've all heard it before. The problem with human intelligence wasn't lack of the access to data, because the internet came along and gave people access to data, right? It is just that people are dumb. So yeah, people are dumb, and the internet gave them the opportunity to communicate their dumb with other people fast.
True.
So flat earthers, they don't like it when I say this, but I say, look, you're just the village idiot, flat earthers. You're the village idiot with fast access to a global community of village idiots.
So far, I think my discussions with them so far has been kind of, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, you know, public education of science and things should be something that's encouraged, but it's the equivalent of going up to a person on the street and asking them whether E equals MC squared is the whole story. A lot of the time they're going to say, yeah, of course it's the whole story. And it's not, you know, there is an extension to that equation.
First one in the chat, give me the full equation. Who will it be? PhD Tony? Will it be Clive Wells? Is Clive Wells probably not here?
You want me to give you the equation?
No, not until somebody in the chat does it.
Oh, okay. And then, you know, they'll to take this further, which is again the trend I've seen, which is what I was trying to mention earlier, and what you tried to explain with gravity being the container. They don't understand that when people quote thermodynamics, a lot of the time in the very introductory course will not consider constraints on the things, constraints only being things like containers and things like that. When you do the equations, you work out like the, you know, perhaps the grand potential if you're using that in statistical thermo, that gives you a lot of info about physical systems. You can include the gravitational constraint, and you'll see is a very, very crude model to the atmosphere, modeling it as adiabatic or isothermally, you will see an exponential decrease in the pressure that you observe. So it bewilders me when you get into a conversation with them and they say demonstrate gas next to a vacuum. I'm just like, well, no. When you eventually get up to a high enough altitude, have you got a statistically significant collection of particles that you can model this thing as a gas and therefore say gas is equalized? I was like, is it a gas anymore, or is it simply 1 or 2 atoms or molecules per meter cubed of volume, you know, simply floats around? At which point is it better to model it as a particle, or if you want to get into quantum mechanics, is it better to measure it as a quantum mechanical system? But then that always rings the bell of they deny quantum mechanics, which fair enough, it predicts things very, very well, but then I'm also not going to sugarcoat things. As someone going to theoretical physics, it also predicts some incredibly bad values. But, you know, that's the whole purpose of science, coming up with models. I don't have a better model, so I'm going to use it, things like that. But these are all things that I observe with them. They're people, they're members of the public who look at an equation like E equals MC squared and say, right, I know everything to do about physics now, I can explain everything I see. Or, you know, people saying F equals MA. Well, F equals MA isn't the whole story. F is the rate of change in momentum and things like that. You know, I do a lot of tutoring and I have to explain this to my students, and it's really aggravating when they try and explain everything they see in the world with simply just gases equalize. I'm just like, no, they don't always equalize. I was like, there are so many counterexamples to that. I was like, you just quoting it without thinking about constraints.
All right, well, Clive Wells was the first to get it. P squared C squared equals M squared C to the fourth plus E squared.
Yeah. So that's my view from my month of talking to these people. They are exactly people who take very simplified versions of the equations in very special scenarios. Maybe people with nothing more than a GCSE in physics if you're in the UK, or an A level in physics, and think, hey, you know, I can explain everything.
There's no chance they have a GCSE in physics. No.
Jin claims to have. I think he was born in the UK. He grew up here.
Yeah, it would have been before GCSE, right? It would have been CSE or O or A or something.
Yeah, something like that.
How do I know, an American, how do I know the 70s testing requirements in England? How did I know that?
I have no clue, man.
Mark Steele.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I come from a family. My parents didn't go to uni. My parents didn't do any high form of education. I'm the first person in my family to go to uni and, you know, want to go into this type of stuff. So,
wow.
But yeah, I love talking about physics. What background do you have in this type of stuff?
At university, I studied electrical engineering and computer science, but I've been a software engineer my entire career, or programmer. In the United States, when you say electrical engineer, chemical engineer, mechanical engineer, it's very specific. It's not a protected title. In the UK, I didn't know this until I started doing these things. An electrical engineer in the UK is what we call an electrician here, sometimes. So I talked to somebody that was an electrical engineer. I'm like, oh, well, he's done differential equations and matrices. He had no clue. I'm like, wait a second. I thought for a second that he was just like pretending that he knew what he was talking about, but no, he's just an electrician, a wire puller.
Oh, I mean, maybe it might be the group of friends I've surrounded myself with, but certainly the university I go at, I have friends that come to study engineering and then specialize in electrical. They definitely can solve differential equations. Maybe these are people that did maybe like BTECs and stuff, an internship, something like that, and then claim that they can solve differential equations.
No. I think, and maybe it's an older thing, but an electrician, as my understanding, somebody that is an electrician that pulls wires can be called at times an electrical engineer in the UK. I can't be certain of that, but
I think my dad might be an example of that. My dad didn't do a degree, but he's pretty good with electronics, but he has no clue what a differential equation is. He gets very excited that he knows what indices are. So he knows very basic maths, but he's quite good at dealing with electronics. But yeah, I like the fact you do computer science. One of the PhD that I'm going to be going into, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Wolfram Physics project, but it's all to do with modeling the universe as a computer. And so getting rid of equations, although equations do come out of our model, it's getting rid of equations, because I think one of the big failures of theories of physics is that they break down mathematically. You know, Newton's law breaks down at r equals 0. A lot of physical equations on a macroscopic scale reflect inverse square laws. So yeah, that's what I've been getting into. But yeah, sorry for pissing around in the chat earlier and pretending I was a flat earth. I was just trying to make sure Jin came on.
Clive Wells says that the electricians and electrical engineers are very different. I agree, they are, but I don't know. I had talked to a couple different people in the UK and like, yeah, sometimes electricians are legitimately called electrical engineers. Anyway, but yeah, in the United States, if you say you're an electrical engineer, absolutely, I expect that you have a 4-year degree in electrical engineering at the least, and probably have taken the tests. I did not take the tests. I went straight into writing software.
Yeah. Well, good job, and thanks for letting me come on. I'll let you get on with the rest of your show because it's quite early here. I've already got to have breakfast and stuff. But
Jeez,
I
yeah.
like what you do. I subscribed. Keep it up. Stop the disinformation, and enjoy the rest of your day, man.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. We'll see you. All right. Well, there it is. Well, that was nice. Good to have him come in. So yeah, anyway, that's why I find it funny when people like John Refracted Curvature claim that he has a degree in mechanical engineering and electrical engineering, and also claim that it's not possible to measure an angle from a curve. How could you possibly have that position if you actually did take the mandatory classes for mechanical and electrical engineering? It's just baffling that that could actually happen. So that's why I didn't believe him when he made that claim. I'm like, no, you're lying. So all right, let me see what else if I miss any. Cretan Bull says it's nice to listen to you talk to a smart person. Well, thank you. Yeah, it was very nice to have Jordan in there. UK Gaming there. So, and of course, us Americans do find people with the English accent to be instantly more charming and intelligent. Unless it's a Geordie accent, in which case it's the opposite. Are those grid squares curved, sir? Well, all right. This was a successful stream. What a bunch of fun this was. So I'm working on, I mentioned it before, I'm working on a video response to the people that claimed that I did not know anything about Flat Earth. The humor in that I love. That's on my Conspiracy Tunes channel, and I'm working on a follow-up video to that, hopefully coming out this weekend, where I actually go through the step-by-step process of applying perspective to Flat Earth. Something I have discovered that no Flat Earther has ever done. Because I posted on several Facebook groups, and every one of them got, not every one of them, but most of those posts got well over 100 comments. And the Flat Earthers, were they eager to present the step-by-step analysis proving that sunsets do happen on Flat Earth? No, they did not. They all were instantly defensive. Every one of them, maybe one or two weren't. Saying, well, you know, calling me names, kicking me out of the group, saying that I don't understand, demanding that I explain their misunderstandings of the globe. All of these things but none of them, not one, provided a step-by-step explanation for how to apply perspective to the sun setting on Flat Earth, or whatever it is that they think is the cause of the sun setting. None of them. I'm trying to goad them. I'm like, hey, what was the process you went through when you tested the claims? Could you just show me that? Of course not. And that's the funny part, because accepting a claim without critical analysis of it is indoctrination. And without a single, on Facebook, without a single exception, every single one of them did not have a problem with the sun setting on Flat Earth and could not provide the critical examination of it that they did. Flat Earthers, you are all indoctrinated if you think the sun could set on Flat Earth. Not a single one of you can do it. Gary Wybenga in the chat, you cannot provide an explanation for sunsets on Flat Earth. See, you deflect, and he's in the chat here, and he's noting correctly that the sun, when it gets to the horizon, does not any longer move at 15 degrees per hour. It moves slightly slower. There is a reason for that. It is predicted on the globe, and that's because of the one of the three things that Jin didn't say, compression. That's because of the index of refraction gradient in the Earth's atmosphere. It is in the bulk of the atmosphere, it is primarily caused by pressure. In the lower atmosphere, it's caused primarily by temperature. So it reduces the speed of the sun as it gets towards the edge, and everything, the stars as well. They get compressed because what's happening is a more vertical area is getting compressed into a smaller area, right? So say you could put numbers on it, right? Say you have 15 degrees of the bottom of the horizon. Well, it's getting compressed into 14 degrees, right? Because some of it's below, and so it's getting compressed in. So it gets, that's predicted on the globe. So Gary Wybenga, that completely matches the prediction of the globe. Here's the problem for you, Gary Wybenga. There is no prediction for flat Earth for the sun setting at all. Nobody's ever provided it for me. They all say that it is. They all make claims, but nobody's ever shown the application of perspective. Gary, could you be the first one? Would you show the step-by-step application of perspective that you went through when you personally were not indoctrinated by the claims, right? And you did the analysis before you accepted them because you're a critical thinker, Gary Wybenga. What was that process you went through? What was the numbers that came out of the formulas that you applied? Because that's how it works. There's numbers. Sorry, Gary, math is involved. It's gonna hurt, isn't it? So anyway, that's what I've been working on. Gary, it's what you do here every day is a perfect burden of proof fallacy. Because you are claiming that the Earth is flat. You have the burden of proof to explain all of these things that you're bringing up on flat Earth. And all that you do is show that you don't understand the globe. Every single week that you come here, Gary, what you do is you put on display that you do not understand introductory level physics. And never do you actually provide an explanation for flat Earth. What a sad and pathetic life you have, Gary, that you never actually critically analyzed the thing that you have accepted into your heart. You accepted flat Earth into your heart. It is your religion, Gary. You love flat Earth, Gary. You love it. It is your precious. Anyway. Let's see. Gary says it's not because of refraction, it's because of angular compression foreshortening of the sky angles, which cause the sun to appear to stay up. That is what the sky is predicted to do on flat Earth. Well, an interesting claim. Show the step-by-step analysis. You did step 1. You made a claim. That's all you've done, Gary. Where's the rest of it? Show the application of compression foreshortening. How do they work? What are the mechanisms by how angular compression and foreshortening work? And then show how the sun, that is some distance above the flat Earth, of course, the measurements of the elevation of the sun that you must have personally done, right? Because you don't want to be indoctrinated by claims, right, Gary? You actually did the work, right? You wouldn't want to be admitting that you were indoctrinated by flat Earth. You certainly will want to show that you did the critical analysis, right? Low tech, yeah. Your angry dad energy that you displayed in your previous debate is legitimately frightening. Keep it up. The fact that I had to bring out the angry dad energy to an elder is very sad. Anyway, Gary, so far you've shown that you can make claims, and I suspect, Gary, and should you refuse to provide the analysis you did, we must only conclude that you have been indoctrinated by flat Earth claims. Right? You never critically analyzed them. Oh, Gary said he'd be on in 20 minutes? Gary. Well, dear Gary, are you going to come on and present your analysis that you did? I would love to see that. All right, let's do this. Yeah, he doesn't know the difference between sidereal day versus a 24-hour day. Stuff like that. All right. All right, I'm getting it, Gary. Getting it. You can present your evidence, Gary. This is your chance to show how you personally applied, what'd you say, angular compression and foreshortening on the actual position of the sun to cause it to look like it's in some other place. So, all right, hold on. Coming. Gary, how do you want that link? You want it on Facebook Messenger? You want it on, let's see. Do I have you on Facebook? Oh, there it is. All right, Gary. There it is. Ready for you. This is going to be interesting. Let's see. I'm going to set up the scene here for you. There it is. All right. Get that arranged. Get that arranged. That's not working. This is going to be good. This is going to be the first time that a flat earther has presented the step-by-step process that they went through so that they weren't indoctrinated, but in fact that they were critically analyzed. Man, we're going to get some trig people, you think? Oh, I'd love to get a little trig. I don't know. Am I being optimistic? All right, Gary has the link. I turned off the waiting room so he can come right in. And I sent it to him on Facebook Messenger. So Greg Andrews, $20 says his internet will go out. Flat Earth trig. I like saying things like putting Flat Earth in front of a job career that doesn't exist for Flat Earth, like Flat Earth cartographer, Flat Earth seismographer, Flat Earth navigator. Just to think of a Flat Earth geologist, a Flat Earth astronomer. Anyway, Mondo, imagine sitting in your classroom. Oh, Gary's here. All right, we got Gary coming. Gary, you can share your screen. You can show how you did the process. Ooh, I hear some dogs barking.
That was a neighbor's dog.
All right.
My
Gary,
dogs are deaf. They don't even know I'm here.
Our dog got deaf before the end. All right, Gary. Here's your chance to show how you were not indoctrinated and how you applied angular compression and foreshortening so that the actual position of the sun appears to be setting or crossing the horizon.
Okay, first of all, the sun appears to slant downward towards the horizon, right?
Yes, there is a compression as it gets closer.
And the ground appears to slant up towards eye level,
yes,
right?
That is a simple application of perspective.
So you have a vanishing area right there, right?
No. Nothing actually
you
vanishes.
Do. Everything compresses to the point where you can't see it if it keeps going, right?
No.
Yes.
Well, no.
Even an airplane in the sky will disappear in mid-sky in the daytime. so everything has a point where
the light still gets
it's not going to be resolvable.
The light still gets to you, but it's not resolvable. If you can't
resolve it, it might as well not, right?
The light still gets to you though. So if it's something very bright,
okay.
say it's nighttime and that airplane gets so far away that you cannot make out the details, but it has a light on, you will still see the light.
Oh, that airplane can get far enough away where you're not going to see the light, even at night. So anyhow, I got to tone down because I don't want to wake people up. I'm outside right now. So
all right.
Okay. Well, you want to use that example for light. Let's just take the line in the middle of the road. I've used this demonstration many times. When you're driving in the daytime, you can see so many individual lines right in front of you, right? But farther down the road, if you gaze off farther down, those lines they appear to become one line.
They get smaller.
And you keep looking. Yeah. Yes, and they appear to be one because your angle is foreshortening everything. You can't see the spaces any longer in between the lines like you can when they're close by because it's foreshortening the ground.
That's
farther up,
that's something you talk about a lot. Rayleigh criterion. That's the details merged together.
That's all part of it. Yes.
Yes.
Even further down, you can't even see the road surface anymore. Because there's not enough angle. Once you reach a certain point, you don't have enough angle anymore to see the surface of the road, even if you look far enough ahead. You know the road's there because you can see cars driving down it, but you can't see the road surface anymore. That's just like waves out on the water. At the horizon, if you're on the beach, it's like 3 miles, right, to the horizon, if you're just standing there on the beach. And at that point, the horizon just looks like a smooth line across. With your just natural unaided eyes, you're not using binoculars or anything like that, it looks like a smooth line. That's because you have compression of the angles over the waves becomes compressed, the angle between the waves become compressed, and the size of the waves appears compressed. And so you get all those three things happening at the same time at the horizon. Now the same thing happens with the things above, only further away, because we're standing on the ground again. If I'm standing there and I put a 45-degree angle from my eyes to the ground, it's right there in front of me, right? Now, but if I put a 45-degree angle into the sky, it's much further away, right? It goes more forward because I'm close to the ground, so it's right there in front of me, but I'm not close to the sky, so it's that 45-degree angle goes like almost halfway across my sky, right? From directly overhead, so that goes halfway across my field of view of my sky. So that's why you can have the sun that's high and far and small. I know you don't think so, but it's still high. I think it's 4,000 miles above the surface of the Earth. I think, and then you also have the distance from the subsolar point to wherever you're at. Now that sun, if it's directly over my head, let's say I just follow it with my hand. I just point up at it, and as it goes towards the horizon, my hand keeps going down, down, down towards eye level, because you have a limit of your field of view. And that can change if you go up higher in elevation, which is why you can make the sun appear again. Yeah, you can hold up your paper. That's cute.
Yeah, I'm gonna apply the analysis that I don't think you're going to.
No, I already know what your analysis will be, because you're going to say that the sun cannot possibly set. It would have to be up, because you don't take into account field of view compression perspective.
Well, yeah,
that's why when you move away.
So I'm going to ask you for the formulas for that, so that we can apply.
I don't have a formula for it. I can describe what it does. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not making formulas, but that doesn't mean I can't describe what you see and how it works. I have many videos that
all you can do is make
claims
then, Gary.
Okay, you do agree that the waves foreshorten, right?
Things get smaller as they get farther away.
Okay, the space foreshortens in your field of view.
Give the definition in your field of view.
As things move away, they take up a smaller space in your field of view, right?
Yes, they're smaller. Yeah, angular size is reduced.
Well, and your field of view makes a difference in that. If you're higher up, it's a different field of view, right? The depth distance at center, we're just going to always assume we're looking straight forward. We're standing upright, looking forward. That's your field of view, what we're talking about. So you don't start saying stupid stuff like, what if I look up? It's like, which everybody does all the time on your guys' side. So anyhow, you have a field of view, and it's got a limit at center frame, period. And so everything that's above you, above the surface, is going to enter that portion of the vanishing zone, is what I call it. And it has nowhere to be resolved anymore once it gets past that. The bottom is the first thing that touches that. So the bottom is the first thing that cannot be recorded in your vision because it takes there's no visual space for it to be recorded in. That's why you see the bottom of the sun disappear first. That's why you see the bottom of boats disappear first. They're not disappearing. They're just not resolvable because there's not enough sufficient angle. But of course, with the sun,
why is the angle any different?
Because your field of view is compressed at that point in the center frame. Everything compresses towards that point. You know it. You see it every day.
But everything that's compressed, the light still gets to your eye, even though it's compressed.
Well, you can't see the lines on the road after a certain distance. That light still goes to your eyes.
It still gets to your eyes. You just cannot resolve the details.
But you can't see it. But you can't see it.
You can see it. You cannot resolve detail.
No, you cannot see it. You just drive down the road tomorrow. Just look up ahead of you. You can't see the lines after a certain point.
The light gets to your eyes.
You can't see the space between the lines anymore.
Gary,
either.
You're just denying introductory physics, Gary.
No, it's a physics. If you can't see the lines between lines after a certain distance, because there's separations between each line, right?
Yeah.
After a certain distance, you can't see that separation anymore. Even though it's there.
There's a reason why, Gary. There's a reason why.
Because their angle is too foreshortened and there's nowhere to put it.
The reason why is because it's too
small of a space.
Yeah, it's too small.
That's right.
And the light merges together. It doesn't go away. You don't stop.
Like I said all along.
Yeah, you don't stop receiving the light.
Criterion.
Yes, you still receive the light. You just cannot resolve the details of the light.
You can't even resolve the space in between the lines, which means you can't see it. If you can't resolve it, you can't see it.
The light gets to your eyes.
But you can't see it, can you?
You can see it. You cannot resolve detail.
No, that space between those lines in the road, you can't see after
just like on my hand is made of cells. I cannot resolve the details of those cells. They're too small.
Yeah, and if you keep moving your hand farther back, I can't see the space between your fingers, right?
Exactly. It's but the light still gets to your eyes.
That's no, it doesn't.
So all you can do is deny basic physics.
If that space gets too small, I can't resolve the space, right?
You're just rejecting basic physics, Gary. The light still gets to your eyes.
No. If I can't see something, I can't resolve it. It doesn't matter what your physics says. You can't see it.
It certainly does matter what physics says, Gary.
No. Which is why
only have denial.
Once again,
that's your position. You were indoctrinated,
just
Gary.
Watch when they're driving.
You are showing us that you were indoctrinated. You did not actually do a critical analysis of this. You declared that you can't, that the light doesn't get to you, but there's no actual reason for the light to get.
Prove the light gets to your eyes if you can't see it.
Can see it. You cannot resolve detail.
No, it comes to a point where you can't even resolve the space between the lines.
But the light still gets to your eyes.
But you can't resolve anything from it.
You cannot resolve detail, but the light still gets to your eyes.
No, you can't even resolve the space anymore.
The light still gets to your eyes.
But you can't resolve anything. You can say that all you want, repeat it all you want. It doesn't matter. If you can't see the space, it's not resolvable. It doesn't matter how much
it's not resolvable, but the light still gets there.
Well, then you can, but it's too small to resolve, isn't it? It surpassed the Rayleigh criterion effect.
What happens is all of the things that are too small merge into the same color.
The angular size of that space has become too small for you to resolve anymore. If you can't resolve it, doesn't matter how much light you think comes from it, you can't see it.
Okay, so now why would the sun, when the light still gets to your eye, appear to be blocked by the horizon?
The angle to the top of the sun, you're going to see longer, obviously, because it still has a wider angle. You're on the ground, you're looking up. The wider angle is to the top, right?
Wrong.
The bottom of the sun. What angle to the sun, to the top or the bottom, is going to be the first angle that reaches to the ground as it moves away?
Why the ground? What about the proximity
because we live
to the
on
ground
the damn
changes?
Earth.
But why does proximity to the ground
mean that the lights
mean that the But why does the proximity to the ground stop your eye from receiving the light?
If it went straight
Gary, why does proximity to the ground stop your eye from receiving the light?
Because you got the Rayleigh criterion. You got the
now, Rayleigh criterion does not mean that the photons don't get there.
Well,
The
just like the lines in the
photons still
road,
get
if the
to your
space
eyes.
becomes too small, you can't see in that
And the
space.
photons are still received by your eye.
But you can't see them, and so it doesn't matter, does it?
It absolutely matters. The light is still
No,
there.
it doesn't matter. If
When
the
it
light
gets-
can't resolve,
When a
if
light
your
source
eyes
is too
can't
small to
take
resolve,
whatever
Gary,
supposed light is there,
this is
you
easy to
can't
test.
resolve the separation.
When
which
the
means
light
surpass the Rayleigh criterion,
and it
which means
just
you're not seeing it.
and
You
it's
can't
just a
resolve
point
it.
source, and it's just a point source. Then
Yes,
it's that
2 point
small,
sources when they're close
you
by.
just get.
That's why
Still
That's why when a
see
car
the light.
drives away from you, the first space you can't see
still
is the
see
space
light.
between the bumper and the road.
You
The
still
tires will
see the
become
light.
unresolvable bottom first,
And
even though the road
light
is flat.
still gets there,
But you can't resolve it, can you?
but you still get the light. And so if a light
Well,
source
you
is
say
too
that,
small,
but you can't resolve it, so your eyes can't pick it up.
if a light source is too small to be resolved, you still see a point source of light.
You don't see. No, you don't. Once it gets too close, that
Right,
angle
well,
becomes too small.
Then you are
can't
stuck
resolve it.
with
Rayleigh
denying
criterion.
introductory physics.
Well, Rayleigh criterion is physics, right?
Yes, and the Rayleigh criterion says that the light still gets there.
Close together, when 2 point sources become too close
But
together, you
the
can't
Rayleigh
resolve them
criterion is
as
actually
two-
about two photons.
two separate.
It's about
No, it's 2
photons.
point sources of light, which
No,
would be like the bumper
Gary,
of a car.
we know
and the
you
road
can't do
surface.
formulas. You've never applied the Rayleigh criterion.
Doesn't matter if I do a
You
formula.
don't know what the
whole concept
Rayleigh
is-
criterion
the
is
whole
actually
concept
doing.
is there. The Rayleigh criterion is just 2 point sources that are close together. That
No,
become
it's
too
not.
close
It's about
together.
the actual photons.
No, it isn't about the actual photons.
Then
It's
you
simply
don't know the Rayleigh criterion. Sorry.
The whole Rayleigh criterion is simply when 2
you've
point
never
sources.
looked at
Okay,
it.
Mattoon, are you
You
going to
don't
let me
know
finish my
anything
point, or are you
about
going
the
to
Rayleigh
interrupt me?
criterion.
See, this is all you got now, Mattoon. You can only interrupt because you can't let me finish my point because you know you're full of shit.
Go ahead.
You're literally full of
show the
shit.
analysis. Go ahead.
Okay, when 2 point sources become too close together in the distance because that angular size of the space becomes not sufficient anymore to resolve them as separate. So they blend into one. You can resolve one thing, right? So what happens with your field of view in the sun? Your field of view, because you're closest to the ground, which takes up the bottom half of your field of view. The ground always takes up the whole bottom half, right? And so that's going to be the first limiting thing. So anything that goes beyond that, where the angle brings it to that point, the bottom first is going to become unresolvable because there's simply no room. It's just like on a picture. We'll just call it pixel space. There's no pixel space for that, whatever part of that angle that enters into that zone. And of course, the bottom of the sun is the first thing that enters that zone, just like the bottom of a boat is the first thing that enters the sun, enters that zone. And so it's the first thing that can no longer be resolved. I don't care how much light you said still comes from it. It can't be resolved. And so it seems like it disappears, but it's not because of curvature. It's simply because the angle is insufficient to resolve it separate from the water. Now you can go.
But that's not how light works.
That is how it works.
Well, then you're going to need to provide the supporting evidence for that because
the
Rayleigh criterion.
Will you play one of my videos? Or at least a portion of it?
Sorry. Your videos are on the farm. They're not showing how the physics of light works.
I took a video. It's a portion from one of John D's, which you don't like, of course.
Oh,
it's a boat.
The fake Dr. Okay. John D?
Yeah, call him whatever you want. I don't care if he's a fake or not.
He's not a real doctor.
Okay, that's besides the point.
You know that he's not actually a real doctor.
Okay.
Gary, I just want to be sure.
Professor Dave, a professor. So you guys hang on to him for dear life like he's your god.
Did I bring him up?
Is he a professor?
He's not currently a professor.
Dave, your big stud star that you guys think is God.
Did I bring him up?
Is he a professor?
I already answered that question. You weren't listening. You were talking over me.
Okay, I'll be quiet. What did you say?
He's not currently a professor, but he has been in the past.
Was he ever a professor? Does he have a degree as a professor? He's a professor.
He was a professor. There's no degree as professor.
No, he taught. He was not a professor. That's a title. Like professor, is he a professor equivalent like Phil Bell?
I don't know if it's a protected thing or not.
That's all besides the point. Now let me talk about the video because you diverged the whole thing away from what the point was. In the video, it's a clip from his video, and it shows him zoomed in on turbines and wind turbines, and you can see the bottoms, the whole yellow portion at the bottom, and you can see a ship that's beyond it. And you can see the red portion. There's like a red strip at the bottom of the boat. I believe it was like 11 or 12 miles from to the boat, but I can't remember for sure. But in the video, he backs off the zoom. And as he backs off the zoom, the first thing that becomes unresolvable is the red portion at the bottom of the boat and the yellow portion at the bottom of the turbines as a whole. Now we're talking as a whole because people will say, what about this little space between this and this? Well, yeah, because things compress. But the first thing as a whole that you can't resolve on the boat will be that red portion at the bottom. And the first thing on the turbines will be the yellow portion at the bottom. And that why? Because he's backing off the zoom, which means he's changing his field of view. He's decreasing his focal length, which is increasing his field of view. And so that portion at the bottom of the boat and that portion at the bottom of the turbines is limited to a little bit of pixel space, which means it's the same way your eyes work. Except for you don't have a zoom, obviously, but things can move away from you or move closer, and it's the same similar effect. It's not exactly the same, but it's similar. Can you play it?
Sure.
I mean, you could, and I have 3 or 4 of these that I took. I got one from Critical Think. I did the same thing. I got one from B-Ball that does the same thing. And you can literally see as it backs off the zoom, I put it in slow motion in the slow speed. And you can literally see that's the first thing that becomes completely unresolvable while you can still see the tops. And that's because the limits of your vision at center frame.
All right, you're gonna send it?
It compresses, just like when you zoom in and out. If you have a level camera and you just zoom it in and out, what do you see? You just see as you zoom out, zoom in on something, as you can see everything expanding away from that center frame, right? And then if you back off the zoom, everything compresses back towards that center frame and you lose information, right? Things that you could see when you were on the surface, when you were zoomed in, when you back off the zoom with your natural eyes, you can't see.
All right.
Even though you claim the photons go through your eyes, but you can't resolve them.
The photons still get there, yep.
But you can't resolve them, so it doesn't matter.
It certainly
We're talking
matters.
about how you actually see.
Yep. Where's that
You
link?
want to play that video? I don't even know how to send a link on this. I've never done it.
You can do it in Facebook.
I'll have to go to my YouTube channel.
Okay. Sean Hawkins. That comment wins. But I'm not going to read it.
You can read it. Sean Hawkins is an idiot. I don't really care. Whatever he says doesn't matter.
How big is a
Sean
cow
Hawkins.
seen from a mile away, says Observer.
Yeah, we know all about cows are close if they're big and they're small if they're far.
Father
Yeah,
Ted.
well, the same thing. Same thing with the ship. When the ship is far away, you can't resolve a lot of detail. Now, if you have stripes going across the ship, you can see what's going on. That's why this video I'm about to link to you will demonstrate how that works. Let's see, share video. I guess I can send this on Messenger.
You can do it right in here.
How do I do it in here? Copy link.
No, you can share screen and then pick a window.
Gosh, I'm on my phone. I've never done this before, so I'm not sure.
Then send me the link.
Okay, I send it on Messenger.
Whatever works for you.
Okay, well, I don't know where to send it.
You can send it. You can send it in the chat in this call. You can send it on Facebook Messenger.
I can. Okay, so I can send it. I'm not a mod, so how do I can send it in the chat?
You could do it on Discord. You could do it on Twitter. You could do
okay, well, you have me
LinkedIn.
limited on your Discord. You have me limited on what I can do on your Discord, so that's not quite so easy all the time.
You can send me a direct message.
Okay. I'm just going to put it on your YouTube.
Where? Oh, in the live chat?
Yep.
Yeah, you can't do links.
I know. Make me a mod a minute, and you can take the mod away after if you want.
Hold on a second. People, he wants to become a mod.
You can unmod me after that. I don't care.
Gosh.
This is just for a link to put on here.
You wouldn't be the first Flurf to be a mod. All right, go ahead. Write a comment so I can grab your name.
Okay.
Quarter wants you to be a mod for life.
You know, you should speak to your mods. I think you've told them 3 or 4 times to stop timing me out for unless I'm being a racist or something, which I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay, well
like...
they do it because they can, and you don't say shit to them because you're a terrible host who can't control his mods.
Dude, I'm busy. I'm busy during a
okay,
debate.
but your mods don't listen to you. They have no fear. They figure you're never going to take their mod status away. So
I have.
Well, maybe you could talk to them. I'm not a racist. I don't say racist stuff. I'm not talking about COVID or anything like that.
He just
Sean
talked
Hawkins
about
is
COVID.
one of them who times me out. Okay, I didn't say anything about vax.
Where did you put a comment in there yet for me?
I put a link in the chat. I tagged you.
You couldn't have because you're not a mod yet.
Oh, I thought you made me a mod already.
I'm looking for. I have to find your.
Oh.
All right, hold on. Like, I think your comments have scrolled off already.
Okay, if you make me a mod, I'll put it back on.
All
I did tag you where the thing is if you want to copy it.
Just type a couple letters in there and hit enter. Then I can. This technology stuff, huh? Do you have milking cows?
No, I don't milk cows.
Beef cows, okay.
Nope.
I got 3/4 of a cow in my
I'm in the genetics industry. I work with cattle genetics.
Gene modification?
Nope. That may be coming soon. Actually, they've probably already done it. They just don't tell us.
All right, you can do it now.
There is.
People are saying that you milk bulls.
I don't milk any bulls.
Do you do any animal husbandry with the bulls?
I'm never even around a bull.
Okay. You just got the ladies around there?
Yep.
All right. I'm looking. Did you send the link? I'm not seeing it yet.
Yeah, I did. I didn't tag you in it though. So okay. Let me do it again.
I'm not seeing it. My goodness.
I did. I'll do it again. I'm going to tag you in it this time.
Do you have rubber gloves that go to the shoulder?
Yep, I do.
Oh. There it is. Okay. A friend of mine, actually a guy, one of the
you have plenty of people in Minnesota who do exactly what I do.
Oh yeah, one of the first people I hired to write software. He before writing software for me.
And there's a lot of science involved in all this.
He had to put on that glove. And
yeah, well, I grew up on a dairy. To me, it's not a big deal. You got to put on a glove to deliver babies out of cattle too. I've done that thousands of times.
All right, here it is.
Doctors have to put on gloves to do certain things.
Well, I know, but the glove and then the path you have to take for the artificial insemination is not the one that you're thinking of, people. It's the other one. And
what would that be?
You reach up the number 2 hole.
Yeah.
To position through the membranes the artificial inseminator tube in the right spot. I won't get too specific.
Oh, that's okay.
And my friend, no, for the chat, for their benefit.
I think some of these people already know, so I don't care.
And he's like, my arm went numb. Yep, they don't like it.
I've been doing this for a lot of years, and I don't have any problems whatsoever with my shoulders or hands or anything.
You want to do it quickly. All right. Is there any audio for this?
Actually, I'll probably be doing embryos in the near future.
Oh, you need to go farther then.
Yeah, kind of. Not with your arm, but
Oh, all right.
where you place it, you're placing live babies in the uterus.
Yep. All right. All right. So you can see. Can you see that?
Yeah.
There it is. All right.
I already know what it's going to do. So.
Well, I'm letting you walk through it.
Oh, it's just small on my screen. Let me enlarge it if I can. Okay.
Sean Hawkins, have I ever done something, converted a bull into a steer? I've not, but I was there when the pigs were converted, and that's a noisy operation. Have you ever been around for that, Gary?
No, I've never done that. No.
No. I mean, have you been in the vicinity?
No, I've actually never watched anybody do that.
That's a lot of squealing. All right.
I know people who eat them afterwards.
Oh, no, thank you.
All these cowboys do. They
All
make
right.
a feast out of it. No, I say no, thank you.
All right. So this is playing. It's I don't know. You must be talking over it in the video.
I might have started talking before it. You can do it faster if you want. You don't even have to play the sound if you want.
The sound is
I just
off.
want you to watch what happens when he backs off the zoom to that red portion that you're looking at on the bottom of the ship. And those turbines to the left, you'll see them too. There's a yellow portion at the bottom. And all he's going to do is back off the zoom.
Okay.
And the ship, I think he said, was 11 miles or something like that, 11 and a half maybe. It was beyond turbines. So you can watch those yellow portions at the bottom of the turbines. Now it's to the point where I don't think you can see them anymore. I can't tell on my phone because you might have to go a little farther. It's too small on the screen.
The near turbines, you can still make out detail. The far turbines
a little bit on the but it'll
blurring
keep on,
together.
Yes, but that yellow portion at the bottom is what's going to become completely unresolvable before the tops. And the same with the red portion at the bottom of the ship.
Yeah. All right. So I paused it there.
And that's this is where the angles to them become too small, and Rayleigh criterion is surpassed. So you pass the limit of the Rayleigh criterion, which makes it so it becomes unresolvable.
Well,
at a certain point from the water line.
Something is always beyond the Rayleigh criterion, like in your hand.
Okay, well, this is not
like in your hand.
Disappear, and it's not because of curve.
The cells in your hand are always
but the boat here
beyond the Rayleigh criterion. But you can still see your hand.
I know there's lots of things. There's lots of things right here are beyond the Rayleigh. You can't see windows or anything on the boat anymore.
Yeah.
But the bottom of that boat is going to be where you can't differentiate it from the water line anymore.
Yes.
Same with the yellow portion at the bottom of the turbines.
They all.
It's not because of curve.
The colors all merge together.
Well, that's all part of your vision. And there's no curve involved in here because he was zoomed in. You could see the whole bottoms there before you backed up the zoom. And all he's doing is he's decreasing his focal length, which is increasing the field of view, which means there's little pixel space left for those things.
Yep.
So no curve is involved.
They get too small to resolve. I don't know what the problem is.
That's right. Even though there's supposedly light photons coming at you, you still can't resolve them. It doesn't matter.
And you can see now
it's too small.
A good example. I think people at home should be able to see the collection of windmills that were immediately left to that boat. All of them are too small to resolve details, like the
Rayleigh criterion takes place on the whole boat.
And so all three of those windmills have merged together into one lighter colored section.
Yes.
The light
Rayleigh
is
criterion
still getting
takes
there.
place over the whole. It takes place over the whole picture, but you specifically here because you also have a field of view. That's the bottom, what's under you, the ground going up towards eye level, and the sky going down towards that eye level. That is also part of your perspective, and that has a limit. Just like the angles to the objects has limits, that also has a limit. And so you're seeing that's exactly where they're disappearing. The information is disappearing into that center frame as he backs off the zoom. It's not resolvable anymore. And the bottom was the first thing that wasn't resolvable. And I could show you numerous ones. I could show you hundreds of these if I wanted to make them.
So I can see the bottom here.
Yeah.
right? And now it's all just too small. It's not like
You
the
can
bottom
still see
is
the-
unresolvable.
You can still see the top of the boat,
and you can see that the near the water, it's a darker line.
You can't tell anymore. It gets past your
Yeah.
limit of vision.
Yeah, the highest contrast parts continue to stand out.
Yeah. Well, that also happens
Okay.
with distance, right?
So
Now
the
colors fade with distance, right? Not that they actually fade, but your vision when they take a smaller space
average out.
are less brilliant, right?
They average out. Yeah. So
So I'd say homogenized.
If there's
They kind of homogenize.
You say homogenize because you work.
Like on a dairy. Yeah, but they do. They kind of homogenize.
But wait, you're not on a
all
dairy
the colors
farm.
kind of fade together. No,
Hold
I'm not. I grew up on a dairy farm. My mom and dad had a dairy farm, and I was on a dairy farm. I grew up all my life on one.
I've milked a few cows in my day.
Well, I did too, but it's been a lot of years since I've done that.
Elementary school. My friends actually had you had to bring. They didn't have a thing where you stand down low and what's it called? But they actually had the old
parlor.
School, a parlor. Yes, they had the old school barn, and you had to bring the thing up to the tube and plug it in and hook it up, and then bring it to the next cow and hook it up.
It's completely different now.
Yeah.
You don't even have to take the machines off anymore. They do it automatically.
Yeah, I've been to Wisconsin. We've got my wife has relatives.
Oh yeah,
there.
you got high tech over there too.
All right. Well, so you're saying what?
My point is, you have a limit of vision where if the angles become too small, you can't resolve them. And on field of view, you also have the center frame where everything is, as it backs off the zoom, everything's going towards that center. It's compressing in towards that center. When you zoom in, it expands outward from that center. And because of increasing
why
or
does
decreasing,
center of frame have anything special? If this
because
camera,
you stand on the ground.
But Gary, if this camera tipped up and the horizon was in the bottom 10th of the frame, all of the stuff would be the same.
No, because the angles that far are more compressed than the angles close by.
Gary,
that's what I call angular compression. Is that boat compressed?
If then you tip the camera. But Gary, then if you tip the camera down so that the horizon was in the top 10% of the frame, you'd see the exact same thing.
No.
The position in the frame doesn't change.
Listen. If you tip the camera down, like when it was zoomed in, tip the camera down, that boat would disappear off your field of view. Yes, because things in your just like if you pointed the camera slightly up, Gary, and you started backing off the zoom, everything changes your field of view.
Oh,
but they all still go to converge to that point.
It's just so ridiculous.
No, they all converge towards that point. Doesn't matter if you tilt the camera or not.
You think that tilting the camera will cause something to be obstructed or not obstructed or visible or not visible?
That's not that is not what I said. No, you'll change your whole field of view. So if, let's say you tipped your camera up right here and zoomed in, what would happen? The boat would go down off the bottom of your field of view. You wouldn't even see it in the lens anymore. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. That's just because you have a field of view on your screen.
Giving magical properties to center of frame.
Okay, you saw the center of frame. Everything converges towards that, right? You saw.
I'm saying
if
the horizon was always in the bottom 10% of the frame, all this stuff would appear the same.
If you can still see the horizon, everything will still converge towards that point. If you back off the zoom or zoom in, it'll expand away from it.
So does center frame have any different any magical difference than not center frame?
No, it's your field of view looking forward. It's limited by the ground because you're close to the ground. That's the first limit. You just saw it happen and you're denying it.
Gary, no, Gary, I'm trying to clarify your claims about center of frame versus edge of frame.
Because center of frame, when you're looking straight out, which is normal for a human being, you stand upright. So 90 degrees is what your normal field of view is, right? Unless you're deliberately looking up or around, your normal field of view is straight forward, right?
No, you can look wherever the heck you want.
No, I just said your normal field of view, unless you're looking up or around you, your normal field of view walking forward is straight ahead, right?
No.
Yes. If we're looking towards the horizon, that's what our whole thing here is, what we're talking about. You're trying to get away from it because you just saw what happened.
I'm just
There's
baffled.
no curvature in this. There's no curvature in this video, but you watch the bottoms become unresolvable.
I'm just baffled that you think that center
See,
frame
and if you
has
look
some
at this
magical
picture
property.
like this, you would say, "Oh, the bottom, it's because it's over past the curve." That's what you would say.
No, not at all.
Yes, you would.
No, that's a blur. It's not useful.
If this is all you had was this picture right here, you would say, "Oh, we can't see the bottom because it's past the curvature."
If I had just this picture, I'd say, "Give me a different picture."
No, what you would want is to try to make your point is something way farther out that's past that limit. You're limited by your height above the ground. So obviously in this picture too, you could go up.
And what's the
in
formula
elevation,
for that?
and you could probably still see the bottoms of the things, or at least you would for a lot farther. You have a limit of your field of view. That's the first part of your vision, is that you have a field of view.
Field of view is how wide it is, Gary.
That's right. And so if you go higher, you got a wider okay. If
you go higher, your field of view doesn't change.
We talked about the
It's the
45-degree angle. No, we talked about the 45-degree angle to the ground if you're standing on the beach. Now, what happens if I go up 100 feet? Where's that 45-degree angle now? Because I changed my elevation.
Your
the angle
field of
is
view
further
didn't
out.
change.
Yes,
your
it
elevation
does.
did not change the field of view. The camera is still the same.
Yeah, absolutely it does. If you take your, if you go up in elevation, your field of view looking straight forward is completely different. And your horizon will be way,
optics of a
further
camera's
out.
The optics of a camera's field of view doesn't change based on your elevation.
It does. The field of view changes on your elevation.
No. Oh my God.
Yes, if you go up higher, your angles are wider to the ground.
Crap.
So you're going to have a much farther distance before that angle foreshortens to the ground. So your horizon will be much further out.
Yes, the horizon is farther out due to the curve of the Earth.
No,
what's the math?
McCune. That's the silliest. That's one of the silliest thing a glober says. Is that it can only work on a globe. If you go higher, you can see further. It works on a flat surface
for me
the
way that I can test your assertion.
Okay, go up. We talked about the road and the yellow lines. Go out there tomorrow, be in your car, whatever, or just stand there if you want. Find a road that doesn't have a lot of cars on it. Just stand there, count how many yellow lines you can see as individual, and then get on a ladder, a 10-foot ladder or something, and then tell me how many individual lines you can see.
That's circular, Gary.
That's because
you
changed your angle to the surface, and that extends the distance you can see detail at the surface.
You're asserting that on flat Earth that
which
happens.
Works.
And so
it does happen on flat Earth.
And so then
it'll work on either
your
one,
explanation for that
is
to claim a flat surface. That's just circular, Gary.
No, it works perfectly fine on a flat surface, and you know it. I know you know it, McToon.
No.
You just will never admit it. It works perfectly fine. You see more detail on the surface by going higher on a flat Earth or a curved
on your
Earth.
road example, the lines on the road are farther away if you increase your elevation.
Yes, but your angle to the road is wider, so you can see more lines for further.
Will get smaller, and so you will be able to resolve less.
But your angle to the surface is wider, which means you can see more lines for further. Doesn't matter. It's not the distance that's important here. It's the height above the ground.
Oh, it's not the distance now. Why?
Okay, are you going to tell
Why?
me?
You're
You're going to tell.
Just inventing this stuff.
Wait, McCune. If you go up 20 feet from the ground, which one are you going to see more lines on the ground? Individual lines.
Gary.
No, McCune, answer the question. Come on, this is a simple question, McCune. I know you don't want to answer it because you know what the answer is.
If you increase your elevation,
yes,
above the road,
yes,
and we're presuming that the road is flat, not that it's curved.
Yes,
right?
We're presuming the road is flat. Yes.
When you raise your elevation, you're
going to see more yellow lines on the road as individual, aren't you?
That is a good question, Gary. I'll give you that.
It's not a good question. It's the exact truth. You're going to see more yellow lines as individual by going up, even though you're physically further away from them. but you have a wider
Yeah.
angle.
PhD Tony.
You can see more detail on the surface for much further. And it works on a flat Earth perfectly fine.
Oh, that's a good point. Objects on the surface behave differently than objects sticking up. You need to use trees. Oh, very nice.
No.
So yeah, your analogy there, that's a good point. Your analogy, you went from the surface of the road, comparing it to something sticking up above the water. So you have the boat sticking up out the water.
We're just sticking to the road here, McToon.
Okay.
You're trying to change the whole thing here. Just stick on the road.
So what's the analog?
Find a road with little traffic. Stand in the middle of the road.
Sure.
Count how many individual yellow lines you can see in the middle of the road.
And what's the analog?
Now go up and tell me how many lines you can see as individual. It's much more, won't it be?
And
it'll be a lot more individual lines you'll see, even though you're physically further away from them. But because you have a wider angle to them, you will see more.
So on what's the analog to the picture that's on the screen right now then?
Oh, well, if you went up higher, you would see the detail at the bottom for a lot longer.
Okay, but on the road, where the lines on the road, what's the analog on the picture we're looking at right now? The surface of the water.
Yeah, what do you want to know about? I'm not sure what you're saying.
Well,
what do you mean analog?
So you're trying to draw a comparison between the picture we're seeing now and the road. And in your comparison, you're talking not about things sticking up from the road. You're talking about things on the surface of the road. So if we were looking at the picture here of things on the surface of the water, right? Things that are on the plane of the water, as you say, right? Then that would work to go to the plane of the road. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the boat.
Can you see any individual waves out here on this picture?
No, they've all merged into a blur due to the Rayleigh criterion. But the light's still getting there.
If let's say at that point,
notice
how you can't.
Wait a second. Notice how because the Rayleigh criterion is preventing you from seeing the details of the waves, you still see the surface of the water. It didn't just go away.
Yes, but it's
averaged out the
point.
color.
But that point, it averages out at that point, and where it averages out, you can no longer see any more surface detail. That's why it looks like a line across your field of view.
But you still see the color there, right? You don't see
nothing.
I know,
it doesn't matter.
You don't see blackness.
You can't see individual waves there. Now, wonder if you have, let's say you go a half a mile past that point, and you got, let's say those are 4-foot waves out there. We'll just make up a thing. 4-foot waves out there, but it just looks like a smooth line to you from here, right? Now, let's say you have a 5-foot wave 100 yards beyond the 4-foot waves. Can you see it?
Depending on your height.
No, we're still standing at the same place. Can you see that 5-foot wave that's another 100 yards behind those 4-foot waves?
Depends on your height. It depends on your height.
We're talking about, I know it does depend on your height. So if you go higher, you can see further, right? So you do make my point there again.
No,
thank you.
No.
But the point is, if you're standing there on the beach, it averages out, right? It looks like a smooth line across. Now, let's say those are 4-foot waves out there. Because I can go out to Monterey over here, and you can have 12-foot swells out there, but it looks like a smooth line from where you're out on the ground, right? So they average out at a certain point somewhere out there. So let's say those are 4-foot waves out there, but they just look like a smooth line. So now let's say 100 yards beyond them is a 5-foot wave. Are you going to be able to see that 5-foot wave because of the angle is insufficient over the 4-foot waves to see that? There's not enough space, angular space in that angle. So you're not going to see a 5-foot wave another 100 yards past the 4-foot wave. Just like you're not going to see a 6-foot wave another 100 yards past that 5-foot wave.
Does that light from the wave get there to your eyes, though?
Can you see it?
To be clear. Yes, you can.
You resolve those waves?
You can see something there.
No, you won't be able to resolve that wave.
Just like on the picture we're seeing right now, we can't see the individual waves, but the light still gets there.
You're being very dishonest. You know what the answer is, and you're being dishonest now.
No, Gary.
You can't see. That's why you can't see individual lines. It's the same way. Individual waves that are much further past that point, you can't see them anymore because they're further out.
You're trying to apply two different things.
If you take a 5-foot wave that's beyond the 4-foot waves that make the horizon, that 5-foot wave is only 1 foot difference, but it's another 100 yards. Now, what's that? How much angular size is that going to be? That 5-foot wave compared to the 4-foot wave from your
not
distance.
Enough data to answer that question.
Not enough. That's not enough to resolve, right?
I can do the math for you, Gary.
It's not enough to resolve, is it? It doesn't matter. You can do math. You can say, yes, there's an angle, because there
Yes,
is.
but would
There
the
is
light,
an angle, but it's not
would the
sufficient
light
to resolve.
But would the light from that wave get to your eyes?
You won't be able to resolve it. You won't be able to see the difference.
Why won't you just say it's a simple question?
It's exceeded the Rayleigh criterion.
It's not
limit.
a trick
You can
question,
no longer
Gary.
resolve that wave from the step ones in the foreground.
Does the light from the wave get to your eyes?
No, not enough to resolve.
So it's just blackness then.
Where's it going to go in your pixel space? Huh?
You just see
Where's
black.
it going to go? We're going to just pretend your eyes have pixel spaces.
Okay.
Where's it going to go? Where's that light from that 6 foot wave beyond? That's almost half a mile beyond the 5 foot wave, which is a half a mile behind the 4 foot waves. Where are you going to put that? Where's that information going to go in your field of view?
You ready for the answer? It's going to average into the pixel at which it.
That's right. You can't resolve it.
It's going
to
average.
That's basically what you're saying. You can't resolve it. It's separate. There's no information that you can resolve there.
Still gets
That's
there.
why it always looks like a smooth line at the horizon. Yeah. Because it's all averages out, and everything further just gets even smaller angles.
All right, so
the waves are even smaller. They appear small. A 5 foot wave at 5 miles is going to look. You're not going to see that any more better than you're going to see a 4 foot wave at 3 miles.
And you will see just an averaging of all the light.
No.
Right?
Yes, as a smooth line across your field of view. You can't resolve those waves back there anymore.
Averaging of all the light.
You're not going to be able to resolve it. And that's the same way with a boat then that moves past that vanishing zone. Let's say the 4 foot waves, now you got a 4 foot section on the bottom of the boat, but it's squished. Now let's say you got a 5 foot area on the bottom of the boat. That boat starts moving past that vanishing zone. That next foot, you're not going to be able to resolve, even though the light supposedly comes to your eyes, but you're not going to be able to resolve it. And the boat keeps going. The whole boat's shrinking. It keeps shrinking. But that bottom that's closest to the surface is also shrinking. And it comes to the point where the 7 foot level can't be resolved. The 8 foot level can't be resolved. The 9 foot, and the boat keeps shrinking more and more as it goes. And that's what happens. Their boat is not going beyond any curvature.
But
it's
not
simply
being
becoming
able,
unresolvable
Gary,
because of the angles.
Not being able to resolve it doesn't mean the light doesn't get there. Chronic Avenger says optics can expand the field of view, allowing us to resolve more. There is a point where optics no longer work. Why?
When your angles become too small, you can't resolve them.
Okay, but what happens to the light?
When they get too far in the space between the waves and portions of the bottom of the ship, which are closest to the surface, the boat keeps getting smaller and smaller in appearance as it moves away. If you take another slice, let's say you put multiple colored slices, like the red slice at the bottom of the boat. Now you put a blue one and a green one. Each one is getting smaller and smaller. And then the ones closest to the surface are going to be the ones that become completely unresolvable from the surface before the top does. And a picture like this, you're just simply well beyond the vanishing zone.
But why?
That boat's way beyond that horizon.
But why magically only the bottom gets that applied to it?
Because it's past the vanishing zone, just like I explained. If you have a 4 foot waves there at the horizon,
and where did all the light go that was from that boat?
I was explaining it, but you're cutting me off. Okay, this is why people don't like to come on your show. That's why you have a harder time finding any kind of guest that can actually talk with you and argue with you, because nobody wants to come on here. You're picking and choosing people who are most of them who are beginners and have never even looked at any of this stuff, and it's easy. You're like easy pickings.
Karen B didn't want to talk to me tonight at all. She
no, because you're an ass. You can be a complete ass. You're actually being fairly nice to me tonight, but you're still an ass. Come on, we know it, McToon. So anyhow, this boat here is how many miles would you say it's beyond that horizon line?
I don't know.
It's way beyond it. What happens? This is a zoomed in picture. So what happens when he backs off the zoom on here? What would happen?
The amount obstructed does not change.
No, the whole thing would disappear as he backed off the zoom because it's way too far. This is a zoomed in picture. So he backs off the zoom. That whole thing it just looks like a horizon by the time he backs off the zoom. Because it's way past that vanishing zone where things start getting cut off section by section as they move through it. Because the whole boat is shrinking. Individual sections closest to the ground, closest to the surface are going to be the first things that become unresolvable from the surface.
All right,
like
so
a
Gary,
6 foot wave and a 7 foot wave that's further, an 8 foot wave that's
question.
further. You can't see them anymore.
Question for you, Gary. This is the same boat, right?
Hey, just a couple more minutes because I got to get up early and it's.
All right.
I'm probably talking way too loud out here.
The bottom part of this boat, the light from the bottom part of this boat, you say still gets to our eyes,
It's way too far for the
angles. But it
angles.
still gets to our eyes, huh?
Can you see it?
Why, if it still gets to our eyes, as you claim, Where did it go?
No, I didn't see. You're the one who makes that claim. I'm the one who says it's not. You can't. There's nowhere to put it. It's way too far for the angle.
So the photons magically disappear.
No, they can't be resolved.
No, they can't get to your eye. You must demand that
you could say they get to your eye, but what pixel space do you have for them at that distance? None. There's nowhere to put this.
They
there's
would
nowhere
build
to
up
put
on
the
top of each other, according to your
and that's why
assertion.
That's why this zoomed in image right here. That's why if he backed off the zoom
I
on
love
this
that
image
you
right
can
here,
see the edges
if he backed off,
waves.
if he backed off the zoom in this picture,
you can see the edges of the waves.
Yes.
Where is this magical compression zone? It's not
because he's close. He's close to the ground.
The edges of the waves.
No, he's close to the ground, and the ship is way beyond it. He's close to this. He's probably standing on the beach. He's way beyond, or he's got a zoom that's very powerful, like a P900 or P1000.
Why not? Why not the top? Why does the top not?
Because the top is farther from the surface.
Why? Why is that magically anything?
Okay, let's say the ship is right there close by. You can see the whole ship. You take an angle from your eye to the top of the ship. One angle goes to the top, and one goes to the bottom of the ship. Which one of those lines of angles is going to be closest to the surface?
I'm asking you first.
No,
why does being close to the surface?
It doesn't proceed if you don't answer the question.
Why does the surface have any particular magical ability to?
It's part of your field of view, and because you're closest to the ground, that takes up the whole half of your bottom of view, no matter where you are.
So then, what if you are higher?
The half of your view is going to be the surface.
What if you're actually higher than the ship?
If you're higher than the ship, you're going to see more of the bottom because you got a wider angle. Right, just like you're going to see more yellow lines on the road if you go higher.
But things
it's the same
still,
thing.
Gary, they still get obstructed bottom up, even if you're higher than the ship.
Yeah, up to a certain point. Depends on how high you go. You can go high enough up in this view to see the whole ship if you want.
PG
Tony and guess where it will be? And guess where that will be? In the center of the frame.
No, oh my gosh, center of the frame magic again. PG Tony says Gary is just like. Hold on, Gary.
Horizon is still in the center of your frame.
Yeah, whatever. Gary's just like Jin. It doesn't matter what is real. It only matters what you can see that matters.
No, I'm actually pointing out. Yeah, what you can see is what you can see. If you can't see it, doesn't matter what you say about light reaching your eyes. You can't see it. You can't resolve it. There's no space. I got a kitten that just showed up that doesn't belong to me. It's climbing on me.
What the hell is?
I'm outside by my pool. I'm just sitting in the backyard. Something was crawling. I thought it was one of our other cats. I looked down. It's a little kitten. Oh. I don't know whose it is. It's not mine.
Don't tell my kids.
Cute little thing. It's red.
Cats show up here and they can never leave.
No, that happens here, but
so
I don't even want to tell you how many cats we have.
So what happens when you zoom in more?
Oh, it'll just widen the picture a little bit more.
But
just
does
like you can take that picture and expand it. Like I'm expanding it on my screen right now, and it looks way bigger yet, right?
Yes, but does less?
And I can see a little more detail on that as I expand the picture on my phone. I can see a little bit more detail on that.
But does less of it get blocked then?
No, it's just that it has to do with your field of view. It's too far. It's past the vanishing zone.
It's just magic.
Yeah, no, it's not magic. It's just the limitations of your vision. No, well, you can call it whatever you want. It's just the limitations of your field of view. And that field of view is limited by your height above the surface. That's why when you go out on the road and if you go up in elevation, you're going to see way more yellow lines, even though you're actually further from them. If you zoom,
your field of view changes. But why doesn't the amount obstructed change?
No. What happens if you zoom in is you increase the focal length, you decrease your field of view.
Yeah, I said the field of view changes, but it doesn't change the amount of obstruction.
It decreases, and you end up with all that pixel space then available for what's there because it magnifies the image.
But Gary, when you zoom in more, it doesn't change how much is obstructed. The same amount is still obstructed.
It's not obstructed. It's simply beyond the limits of your vision based on your elevation. Use a different
word. Word swapping doesn't change it. There's still a certain amount that is not seen.
You watched the video. If that boat would have went out further, it would have disappeared further. The bottom would have become unresolvable because the angle would have become narrower, right? Same with this. That's why you saw in the video, McToon, I know you're denying it, but you saw what happened. When you backed off the zoom, information became unresolvable. That's why the bottom of the ship became unresolvable before the top, and that's why the yellow portion at the bottom of the turbine became unresolvable before the tops of the turbines.
And changing the zoom, which changes the field of view, doesn't change the amount of bottom up
increased it did change your field of view. It increased it when you back off the zoom, you actually are decreasing your focal length, which increases your field of view. And then it decreases how much pixel space is available for whatever is at center, because it's further out.
Again, center. There's nothing special about center.
Center frame is you got ground that's going to take up the bottom half. It's center frame. That's why you go up higher. You see
Nothing
the
special about the center frame of a camera.
Absolutely, there is. That's where everything's most compressed. The things further out. That's why you see everything that goes away from you on the ground moves up towards that center frame, and everything in the sky moves down towards it. Just
go do it. Just go zoom into something and show the video where it's at the bottom, 10% from the bottom of the frame. Zoom in and out. Put a center frame, zoom in and out. Do a top of frame, zoom in and out, and compare them. Show me that they're different.
What are you even talking about?
You apply magical properties to center of frame.
You know what? Because it's not magical. It's just simply the limits of your vision.
It's a camera. It's not your vision.
Okay. Well, you saw what happened. McToon, do you have a zoom camera?
I do. It's right there.
Okay. So I'm talking about like a Nikon P900 or any of those kind of things or anything. I got a Nikon that's just a 40 zoom. Okay. What happens if you level your camera straight towards the horizon? You make your camera level, you zoom in, zoom out. What happens? Where does everything go towards or expand out from?
Gary,
as you zoom
out and
zoom in.
Try this, Gary.
Where does it? You just saw it on this. You just saw it on my video a minute ago.
It's immaterial to this conversation, but Gary, there's nothing magical about
you're avoiding answering my question. When you level your camera and zoom in and out, where does all the information? When you zoom in on something in the distance, what happens as you're zooming in? Everything is moving towards the outside of your camera, your frame, right? Your picture frame, because it's decompressing from center frame. It's all coming out from the center.
Step 1. Center the camera on the horizon. Step 2, things go towards the center of the horizon because, all right, but Gary, I'm just telling you this, like I said, it doesn't matter to this conversation. It's just, I want you to test the silliness of your claim. Find something
silly. You saw it happen in the video.
Just a second, Gary, just listen. I challenge you to do this and show it to me and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. All right. But do something where something compresses or has some particular effect as you zoom in and out, right? Do it center of frame. Do it where the thing you're looking at is at the bottom of the frame, and do it again where it's at the top of the frame. And turn that camera diagonal and have it be at the top corner.
No, everything will still move towards that horizon line, no matter which way you tilt it. If you point at an airplane flying away from you, you point it up.
You must really like Puckett Word.
What will you see that airplane do in your picture frame?
Do you watch Puckett Word? Is that
no? Can you answer my question?
I wasn't even listening, Gary.
Okay, of course not, because you're so busy trying to think of your way out of this that you don't know what to say.
I'm just laughing at this silliness.
McToon, if there's a airplane in the sky, okay. I point my camera at it. It's flying away from me. I just hold my camera there. I don't move my camera. I'm not following it. I just get it in the center of my camera, and then I just leave it there. What will happen to that airplane? Will it stay in the center? No, not unless it's moving straight away from me. That's the only way that would work. But if it's just flying over the ground like a normal airplane, it's just going off to the distance, it's going to actually move out of my picture frame because it's going to go down towards the horizon, which you aren't pointing at. But if I point my phone down again, or my camera down again, you will see that airplane slanting down towards the distance until it disappears.
All right, whatever, Gary. Don't test.
Well, you saw it.
All right.
The fact is that you have a reference point when you're standing on the ground looking forward.
All right.
You don't have that reference point if you're looking straight up in the sky, do you? Because all you have is air. So it gives
All
you a reference point
All
in
right.
order to see what's actually happening. You saw
All
what
right.
happened. The boat became, the red portion and the yellow portion of the turbines became unresolvable before the top. You saw it happen. You're just in denial, McToon.
All right, Gary. Your video demonstrated that the
You know, they call that
zoom,
Dunning-Kruger, right?
the zoom
You've
allowed.
got the evidence that was right in front of you. You played it on your show, but you're denying what you saw.
No, Gary, I know exactly what.
Yeah,
I
you
saw.
are.
So your video
Yeah, you are.
demonstrated zoom allowed you to resolve the bottom, yet it doesn't work
Because it was-
anymore.
Because the angles were too narrow for you to see with your eyes, but you zoomed in, so you increased your focal length and decreased the field of view. That gave all the pixel space to that little field of view that you now had. And so it magnifies all the information that's there. That's how it works.
It's just so silly. How does any of this explain the fact that Rayleigh waves make multiple laps of the Earth?
What's that got to do with what we're talking about?
Nothing. But
Okay, so
Rayleigh
what's the point?
Rayleigh waves most certainly do make multiple laps of the Earth.
Okay, what has this got to do with anything?
Oh, his PhD Tony's just asking it
No.
because this is his field of expertise.
I don't care what he's a mad scientist. We don't need to worry about.
He's a mad. I don't
PhD
think he's
Tony.
that mad. Not
Oh,
right
he's
now.
mad all the time. That guy's all mad all the time. I think he's got mad on your show.
He has. Did you see, Gary? Did you see the video I did on?
Okay.
on
Did you see?
Sunset?
Did you see the bottom of the boat and the bottom of the turbine become unresolvable?
You
Bottom
reminded
first.
me with your mad scientist claim. I want to
Hey,
get this
McToon,
before we
I
go
do
off
have
this.
to go. I have to get up
All
early
right.
in the morning.
All
I,
right.
I stayed way longer than I planned on, and I got to cut it off at some point. I'll come on another night.
All right, Gary.
Okay.
All right, we'll see.
Have
ya.
a good one.
All right, bye.
You know, if I can figure out how to shut this thing off. Okay.
All right. Yeah. All right. He left. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Chronic Avenger and PhD Tony. Let's see what else is. His video demonstrated more was visible due to zoom. Ooh, I had a drop. Let's see. All right. The live chat died for a second there on me. There it goes. Stringer News 1. There. Hold on. There are 4 lights. All right. I could not do Picard. I'm sorry. That was terrible. So thank you for that. Stringer News 1. Timbo Turtle says, I think you need to sleep. Good show. Thanks. Oh my goodness. Yes. I didn't expect him to come on. It's 1 a.m. Oh goodness. Let me roll back here. Yeah, Gary, it's just making up stuff. Of course, this was about the sun appearing to set. The Vicky Falcon. I haven't seen a super chat from the Vicky Falcon before. It says, Flurf here, but DTD down to debate. You are a Flurf. Is that what you're saying? Certainly. If you're still here, Vicky. Hop Keto. Zebulon 181 Hop Keto. Thank you, but no. If you're trying to guess the specific martial art that I did, Hop Keto is the wrong answer. All right. Vicky Valken, if you're still here, send me a message, Discord, Facebook, Twitter, or on email. Sorry about that. All right. Chronic Avenger. Optics will expand the field of view, allowing you to resolve the objects that have gone beyond the criterion, yet there is a point where optics stops. And it's he thinks that if it's unresolvable, that it's just not seen. But of course, the cells on my hand are unresolvable, but you still see my hand. The cells, the color information, the light information from the cells are just merged together. So he thinks that the bottom of the boat, the light from the bottom of the boat is compressed Doesn't actually have an actual real reason for it still. Plausible mechanism for why that portion of the boat. Don't know why. But the light still gets to your eyes, even in his example. You would see a band of brightness because all those photons would be jumbled on top of each other. But yeah, he seems to think that zoom works up to a point, and then conveniently it doesn't work anymore. I don't know. Luke Filewalker says, The Vanishing Zone, was this the unsuccessful spin-off of The Twilight Zone? They do love the vanishing point and the vanishing zone and the vanishing line. Stringer News 1 says, Gary's like 1,000 monkeys and 1,000 typewriters, except there's no chance of a Shakespeare play resulting from this random wordplay. Yes, all right. How could he ignore half of the boat covered? I don't... It baffles. It's not half. It was more than half. It was all but just the very top of it. It just baffles that somebody could be so set in demanding that their pre-selected conclusion be supported, that they'll just invent all this crap that makes no sense. And of course, if he had any background in this, if he hadn't, opt out of the optional science classes in high school, he would know that none of this makes any sense that he was saying. So does the same effect happen if something moves straight upward? No. So I actually asked him at the end of a live chat a couple years ago. It struck me so weird. If the water wasn't there, let's say that you are, I set this up, you're hovering above the ground and the boat is hovering above the ground. As the boat got farther away, would the bottom of it become unviewable? And I do think he said yes. Professor Phil Bell, it might be interesting to have you and Gary. Yes, I'm going to try to get that set up. Kim Gargak. I don't know. I'm sorry if it's wrong. The light is unseen from the vanishing zone because it traveled through a David Copperfield. What if he turns the camera sideways? What if he turns it diagonal and puts the horizon up at the edge there, up at the corner? There's no magical thing to the center of frame. Yeah, it's funny how they always talk about objects on the surface, yet run from the tree thing. Yes. All right. Well, that was a marathon. Thank you, people, for coming around, for sticking around. Let me see how many of you are here still. My JavaScript died on YouTube. Sometimes happens. So, all right. It's coming up. There's 276 of you still. Thank you very much, you 276 people, for sticking around. So photons in lenses are digital on the scale of pixels. Is Gary a cyborg? Well, Ian, I'll give you this. It's a fine way to kind of discuss it. And so what would happen is, in the area that he's talking about, where there isn't enough, everything's been compressed, he said, well, those pixels would receive all of the photons. It would receive all of the light. You'd have a bright edge to it. So, I don't know. Truly baffling that people want to cling to incorrectness so bad, yes. So, all right. Couple things. Professor Phil Bell, I'll try to get you set up. That'd be good. There was an overwhelming vote yes on my video I did on Karen B. that you all want to see the epic saga of Chris Zielinski almost getting a voluntary hug from a female. So I do plan to do that. I have selected one of the voice actors already, the female voice actor that will be playing the part of Tara LaRosa. I need the male. I need somebody who wants to be the Chris Zielinski. So anybody wants to play, do the voice acting for Chris Zielinski in the epic saga of when Chris Zielinski almost got a voluntary hug from a female, let me know. Yes, and I think next week, I would love to have next week a smart person come on for a bit. So yes, I'm gonna try to have a little bit I'll probably still do I've asked already for a few flurfs to debate. So all right, hold on a second. I just want to let you know, there it is, on October 18th, so 1, 2, 3 weeks from tonight, I will be on Christopher Enoch's YouTube channel. He is a he's on TikTok is where I found him, and he's a flat earth debunker, and he's a very aggressive, like fire and brimstone kind of preacher guy. So he asked if I would come on his show. I said, sure, let's do it. And he knows his stuff when it comes to physics. So Round Thinker says next week is Yom, and then I don't want to say that wrong. Hekipurim, Atonement Day, so I won't be able to attend. Okay. Because I wanted to have an intelligent person on, and so Round Thinker is one such person. All right, well, unfortunately, it can't be you. Some other time. Okay. Yes, Christopher Enoch on the 18th. That's 3 weeks out. So anyway, that's what I got for you tonight, people. Thank you very much. It's been real. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.